Happy Tuesday, everybody. Wherever you are, however you may be listening, thanks for making us part of your day. Good guess on the braids there, NewTube Gaming. I took the braids out right before we started, but I did have long mid-back length braids on before the show started. So chat is having a hard time loading. I don't know what's going on with that. There we go. Now I think chat's loading. Let's see if TikTok is loaded in. Welcome, TikTok. What's up, guys? Good to see you, our Baron. Not blue cap today there, Coz. I don't know why TikTok doesn't load into the main chat. That's strange. But welcome, everybody. Jen, good morning.
Hola.
Oh.
Hola.
A little foreign language on a Tuesday morning.
That's about all I've got. That's the extent of it.
What's you got anything new for us?
No, I mean, not really. It's, I mean, still out there, but it's. Oh, actually, one thing kind of funny. So I saw someone that on one of the apps that I actually talked to when I was like 19.
Oh.
So it was like,
what'd you do? You wrote letters to each other back then? How did you
no,
communicate
it was
when you were
the time
19?
cell phones existed, but it was,
Sure.
Call me after 9 o'clock for my nights and weekends.
I forgot about that. They weren't in your top 5? Was that T-Mobile that you had like 5 people you could call?
I didn't have T-Mobile. I had AT&T, so it wasn't part of my plan. But yeah, that was a thing. So and you didn't want to send text messages ever because you would get charged 10 cents to text. And now if you
that's
call
crazy.
Isn't that weird? Like we used to actually talk on the phone. That was a thing.
Yeah, I remember when like Cricket came out. Cricket was like the first one to do like unlimited, and a bunch of people, and it was cool. You had unlimited text and talk. It didn't work. You couldn't call anyone. But if you did get them on the phone, you could talk as long as you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I did have Cricket for a small period of time.
You wrote Jen messages on a cave, just inside a cave.
It's hilarious.
That's pretty good. I think it's pretty good.
Yep.
All right. Wait. So what? What were we talking about? I can't remember.
So I mean, ironically, he at the time I probably didn't think it was as big of a deal, but he was like 10 years older than me.
Oh.
So,
is he still 10 years older than you?
Yep, still is.
Okay. I just wasn't sure when you said at the time he was. I wasn't sure.
So we started messaging back and forth, kind of a thing, and he wants to. He mentioned some comment about me, the one that got away. We'll see. So
it's less creepy now for sure. So.
Well, so he brought that up at one point, and he said, he's all, oh, he's like, I was like, yeah, I was like 19. I lived out of my parents' house for maybe a year. And he's all, that now, you say that? He's like, that sounds really kind of creepy. But yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it is. It is. I remember one of my friends right out of high school married a dude that was like, I think he was like 33 or 34. It was so bizarre to see them together. Like, it legitimately could have been her dad. It's weird.
Yeah.
You almost had one of those.
So yeah, so I mean, so like he's like I vaguely remember. So I sent him a picture of what of me around that age, and he's like, oh, I'm starting. He's like, I'm starting to remember. He's like, the age gap now doesn't sound so bad, but when I was 29 and you were still a teenager, that sounds pretty bad.
Yeah. How did you even meet when he was 10 years older than you?
I had a friend that was a good friend of mine. She worked at this audio video store, and he was a salesperson at the store. So I would go in and visit her, and we met there.
And he was tall, so you were good.
Yeah, he was tall. So
how tall are we talking about?
At least 6 foot.
That's not bad. All right.
Not bad. Yep, right on the standard. So
do we have a date lined up?
He would like one. I just haven't. I've only got so many days of the week, so I have to decide which one I want to actually go out with. I've gone out with one guy 3 times. So.
Wait, I thought that guy got the boot.
No, this is a different guy. I don't know if I've talked about this guy.
Oh.
So.
Or is this one staying? Is this one staying on the down low?
I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I don't know. This is probably very. I don't know. The
It's
whole weird like butter. It's like it's not this crazy butterfly ish feelings. I
HVAC.
don't know.
It's tough.
You're so gross. Why are you like?
Jeffrey.
Why are you the way you are?
He's like a fungus. He just grows on you.
Right, like a
Yeah, it's not like butterflies. It's more like salmonella, and
or
then it turns into like a peat moss.
antibiotic resistant herpes or something. I don't know.
Maybe that's why the reflecting pool is green. Maybe Jeff took a swim.
Maybe it's very very possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's like I said. There will be dates this week, just with who and when I haven't decided.
I'm laughing at Teresa. Teresa came in with some big feelings. Sorry that we mentioned Gavin Newsom, Teresa. Things are going to get better for you today. We know it.
Look at that crap state. Please tell me
Tell us more about
my crap state.
That's a pretty good state.
So far, it's great to me.
Yeah, get that fungus, girl.
Gross.
I love
Gross.
it. All right, do your thing.
Jeez. It's weather out here is just like the allergies are in full force. So
Yeah, we're about to start monsoon season here in Arizona. We're about to get some.
That is so weird to me. That just doesn't sound like that's real.
Why doesn't that sound real?
I don't know. Monsoons in Arizona just don't make sense.
Well, have you seen a map before?
Once or twice.
Yeah, the monsoons come up from from Mexico. They release them from their prisons and their insane asylums, and they send their monsoons to the United States.
That's why we got to get immigration under control.
That's right. Maybe not. Maybe it's not going to show up this year because Trump's got that border secured.
Yeah, he may have saved you from the monsoons.
Yeah. All right.
So, anyways, all right. Welcome everybody. We're on all the platforms currently right now. So, TikTok, if you want to get tapping that screen. Wow, we're way down for taps over there. If we can get up to 25K taps, that would be sweet. We do the show each day, Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1 Pacific time. We've got a gift goal that we need to hit so that we can keep doing this. This is our job. And how we get paid and are able to continue doing so is by donations we receive. So Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all that go towards knocking down that gift goal. And preferreds or the pay links, Super Chats are awesome too, but they take a little bit more from us. So if you're not a paid member or subscriber, please become one. If you're on Twitch, you can use your Amazon Prime sub and use Jeff Bezos' money. And any membership on YouTube, you can join us for members only events. And I did look into the ads on Twitch.
Yeah,
they're triggered. I think but it is also marked that the people who are subs don't.
I think HVAC's a sub.
Don't watch ads. Don't get to watch ads, and we have got a lot of subs on Twitch. So
well, thank you guys. Appreciate you sub. Appreciate our subs over on Twitch.
Yeah. So, all right. And if you disagree with RTP and would like to come up and have a conversation, how you can do so is by sending me a message on Discord. My Discord username is Jen with 2 N's, double 2 B's, the number 1, the same as the Venmo. And check out the link in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We've got merch, Jay's on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify. What do the White House and skinny jeans have in common?
The White House and what?
Skinny jeans.
Skinny jeans. I don't know.
No ballroom.
Stupid. Also, Sophia said, tomorrow's Iceland's Independence Day, celebrating 82 years ago. Iceland got their independence from Denmark after World War II. Just giving a fun fact. Hello, my friend and RTP family. Hello, Asa Sophia from across the pond. It's great to have you here, as always. So far, 117. Did I see something about tornadoes? Able Assistant said, we usually have 47 tornadoes in a year in Illinois. We have had 117, so expect the worst. That's too many tornadoes. Tornadoes scare the shit out of me. That's one of my biggest fears is tornadoes. I went through a tornado when I was in, or I'd lived through it. It's like it hit me, but one came through when I was in Davenport. And then once when I was younger, we were in a trailer, like a camping trailer. I don't remember where we were, maybe in Missouri, maybe in Kansas. and there was a tornado like a mile from us, and I was sleeping like on this little bunk, and there was a skylight right above me, and it terrified me. I still think about that all the time. It's like the same summer, or like maybe a few summers after the movie Twister came out. So we had been like driving in the car watching Twister the whole time, and then that happened. So it's terrible. It's normal in Illinois. There have been many times where I ran outside when the sirens came on to see how serious it was. All right. You guys are crazy over there in the Midwest. Nothing to live for. Just fuck it. Go out and get sucked up by a tornado. All right. Let's kick things off today with everybody's favorite pollster, Harry Enton. And Harry Enton today is going to talk to us about a problem that the Democrats may have.
Line is this: Democrats have an edge, but compared to what we see historically, it's really not that big of a lead. I mean, just take a look here. Okay, this is Congress National June polls, Dem leads.
Thanks, Walter, for joining the Dollar Train.
And this is NBC News, midterm years with the GOP press. Look at this. They're up by 5 points, but that's half the lead they had back in 2018 when it was 10 points, and less than half the lead they had back in 2006 with 11 points when Democrats took back the House in both of those years. And now the Democratic lead is on a single hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points.
I think that's probably because they don't do anything and they don't have any good plans. And the only people with good plans they keep trying to run against. So I think that might be why they have a +5. How, if you fuck this up running against Donald Trump, do you know how incompetent you have to be to fuck up the midterms against Donald Trump with this economy and this record? That is, yeah, that's so on brand. OCD said, sorry, I can't do more. Waiting for my Doge check. Thank you.
And it's this type of lead where say, you know what, Democrats are ahead, but don't count your chickens just quite yet.
And Harry, we've been talking about this. As time goes on, you and I have kept on looking at these numbers saying it just doesn't look like the numbers we've seen when there have been waves for Democrats in the past. What are the trends in the other polls?
Yeah, okay, so this is not just one.
I think that's a good point. Who said, Tanya said, I think it's also because many Trump supporters don't plan on voting. I do think that would be hard to factor into these polls. People who voted for Trump who don't plan on voting, those would likely be missing from these polls, just the way that they get this data and the people that they contact. I do agree with that depending on how many Trump voters are disaffected, that number could be much bigger.
Poll in which we are seeing this. There is this group of pollsters that are out there that are just not showing the wave you might expect given where the president's approval rating is. Okay, what are we talking about? We're talking about NBC, Marquette University Law School, and Ipsos. Look at where they were January and February, and look at where they are May and June. NBC, down a point. MU Law, down 3 points. Ipsos, basically staying the same. So the Democrats hold these leads, but again, you have this group of pollsters that are out there where this lead, simply put, is not matching what you might expect if you're expecting a Democratic wave.
And that's sort of in a vacuum. What about in a year where Republicans have already made significant gains in terms of redistricting?
Exactly right. So you might say, hey, the president's approval is way down low. You expect Democrats to be way up high, especially given him in the record lows because of the Iran war not happening. And then you put in redistricting. Democrats in the National House vote, look at this, needed to control with redistricting. We really think the Democrats need between a 3 and 4 point advantage in the national vote. You average those polls together. We just on the last screen, Ipsos, MU Law, and NBC. It's right on the border there. It's right on the border. It is no guarantee. It is far from a guarantee at this point, if you believe these pollsters.
Very tight. Now, what are the prediction markets saying about Democrats' hopes to retake both chambers?
Yeah, okay. So then you take a look. Okay, look at the Kalshi prediction market. Chance to win number terms. Look, Democrats clearly have the advantage at 78% chance, but that's far from 100%, right? That's a 1 in 5, more than a 1 in 5 chance.
Democrats decide they want power and cash more than they want to give the Americans people a safe and prosperous future. Yeah, I don't know about the cat. I feel like, honestly, they just feel lazy. It feels like they're not doing anything. More than like even a power grab. Like a power grab, you would expect to see if they can read the tea leaves, they would be out there and they would be hammering specific issues that matter to the American people. They're not doing much of anything.
Republicans hold on. You look at the Senate, the GOP still has the edge there. More likely than not that the GOP holds on to the Senate, according to cash prediction markets. So basically, I'm putting out this warning sign. These are the warning signs, right? Yes, Democrats probably take back the House, but it's far from a guarantee, or we are not going to get caught
I just go on the record. Like, I know a lot of people don't like that they're doing these Kalshi odds, but I don't think there's like, I don't know why the Kalshi odds would be worse than a poll. It's polling. It's people with it's people that have put their money where their mouth is, but like it is polling. There's no this is just a reflection of where people who bet on this stuff are putting their money. So there's no like fuckery there. This is just what the public thinks. So I don't think it's that different than polling. Why is it not why isn't it the same as polling? What's like Okay, I see it. I got you, Ross. Why is it different? Obviously, like money's involved, but how they get to the numbers, why is that different? Because someone can spend on Kalshi to influence what people think the polling is. What? Someone can spend money on Kalshi. No, I mean it's the total amount of money wagered. So there's the total amount of money wagered on the House going to the Democrats is 78% of the money, basically. Yeah. No, I know it's different than like a 1-to-1 poll, but also the polls, like all the polls that we do are also weighted, and they adjust the polling. It's not a 1-to-1 vote in any of these polls either. I don't think it's. All I'm saying is I don't think it's like that bad of an indicator. I don't like that Kalshi necessarily exists. I think that it opens up a lot of corruption, but I don't think it's necessarily a worse indicator. I mean, if you look at Kalshi odds versus polling, Kalshi odds have been pretty accurate compared to the polls. Also less likely to switch once a bet is locked. Yeah, that's one of the problems that I have with Kalshi is that you are putting skin in the game. So if the more people you get betting on Kalshi and the more you get them betting on politics, the less likely they are to be swayed by a policy that they don't like, right? If you have $1,000 riding on Trump to win, but then you don't like what he says, are you really going to root against that, or are you going to take your $1,000 bet? I think a lot of people are going to do take $1,000 bet. Use Kalshi to bet, though. Yeah, no, I have used Kalshi to bet. I don't think it should exist. I don't think that we should be allowed to do that. I agree with that. That's probably hypocritical of me. If I had an option to say Kalshi should go away, I feel the same about sports betting. I don't think sports betting should exist, especially in the way that they do it now. I don't think that we should be allowed to like live bet on games. I don't like the player props. I don't like any of this stuff. Gambling is an addictive behavior. Make what you will about that. Yeah, sure, it can be. I think there's some people that can gamble, and it's I guess you're chasing dopamine. Democrats want war and chaos for sure. Yeah, for sure. That's why. What was the last war that was started by Democrats? Real quick there, Ron. God damn.
Gestures. We ignore those polls that had those warning signs.
Yeah, stand by. We need more information on this, but it's a trend worth watching. Harry, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
We do have a lot of news this morning. We'll be right back.
Did someone make a shitload of money by betting on Trump's will they, won't they situation in Iran? I haven't seen. I mean, I get my Kalshi news probably the same way that you guys do. Just you hear about it on social media, so I have no idea. Sex is an addictive behavior, not quitting. The same. I'm going to go ahead and stick with that one. This guy Fox says, I've worked in the polling and survey industry for 25 years and would argue Kalshi is more accurate than polling. There you go. I have not worked in that industry, but it's been more accurate. So co-sign that statement. All right. Hal Duncan went before Congress, and Tim Kaine has been asking every one of these people that is this the right one? Yeah, this is the right one. Tim Kaine has been hammering all of these Trump appointees about whether or not Joe Biden won the 2020 election. And finally, we got somebody to answer both questions. And if you've ever thought that I think some of these judges have said, like, I'm not going to weigh in on this. I'm going to say that Joe Biden was certified the winner and I want to avoid politics. I think they're full of shit, but like that's an acceptable answer probably if you weren't full of shit. Like if you weren't doing it for Trump, but you wanted to answer it that way. Ketanji Brown Jackson answered it that way. I think I hate the answer. I don't think that it is a political answer, but I want you to just see the difference when talking about Trump versus Biden here.
Do you believe the 2020 election was rigged?
I believe that Joe Biden was certified as the winner of the 2020 election.
He was certified, yes. But do you believe the election outcome was rigged?
Senator, I appreciate the question. As mentioned, I believe that Joe Biden was certified as the winner of the 2020 election.
Okay. Duly
I fucking hate these dead-eyed dipshit Phil bros that talk like this. I fuck it. That voice is nails on a chalkboard to me. Nails on a fucking chalkboard. The confidence and the arrogance to just not answer the question, to just repeat the same answer. It's whatever you want to say, like politically and how divided we are. This isn't good for the country. This isn't good. Now, this person's not going to be a judge. This person is like the assistant OMB director. He's going to work under Russ Vogt, but the judges are giving the same answer.
That you're not responding to the question.
Was the 2024 presidential election rigged?
Senator, President Trump won the 2024 presidential election.
Yeah, folks, how about that? So he was asked twice, was the 2020 presidential election rigged? And he said President Biden was certified to be the winner. He wouldn't answer the question. Saying President Biden was certified as the winner of that election is like saying today is Tuesday, June 16. I mean, it's a fact. But he wouldn't acknowledge that President Biden won that race. Now, there's only one of two reasons, Mr. Duncan. You have either fallen victim to the conspiracy mindset that says that that election was rigged, and if you're a conspiracy theorist, you shouldn't be let anywhere near the position you've been nominated for. Or, President Biden won the election, but you're afraid of making an insecure president mad by acknowledging that fact. You answered so easily when I asked you the question about 2024. You didn't fight, you didn't evade, you didn't obscure, you didn't try to end run. You said President Trump won the election, which he did. He won the popular vote, he won the Electoral College. The answer was just as simple about 2020. The fact that you were unable to give the simple answer about 2020 raises real serious questions about you. Let me ask you this.
Isn't that infuriating? I just showed it. I feel like I just showed it to you because I had to see it to piss me off. But then he had an exchange later with Chris Van Hollen. And this is somehow this presidency has been so crazy that we've just stopped talking about Project 2025. I want to bring us back to what Project 2025 is. Project 2025 was an expansion of the executive branch. It was a plan to say, fuck Congress, fuck the courts, let the executive branch make all the decisions. We need to have a king. Ironically, the No Kings protest is a direct protest against Project 2025. And this Hal Duncan worked for the Heritage Foundation. And what do you know? He just happens to be getting a position in this administration working for the OMB director, Russ Vogt, who was the author of one of the authors of Project 2025, which once again was simply a way for them to avoid Congress so that they can force feed unpopular ideas down the throats of Americans and give the executive branch all the power in the world to not have to do what Congress tells them to do. And by tells them to do, I mean like Congress funds a bill. They fund the bill for specific reasons. And the people at the Heritage Foundation wanted to be able to say, I know that you wrote this bill as is, but we're going to do whatever we want with it. And we're going to take that money and do what we see fit with it instead. This was an interesting exchange with Chris Van Hollen and Hal Duncan on just like the way that they think about government workers. And whatever your political leanings might be, whatever you might think about the government, the people who aren't the problem in the government are the career civil servants who work there. The people who have worked there across multiple administrations, who are there to do administrative jobs. They don't put their finger on any sort of policy. They literally just do what they're told to do. And they stay there for 30, 40 years across multiple administrations. Those people are not the problem. What Project 2025 is, what it actively is doing is taking these career civil servants and saying, you will be partisan. And if you refuse to be partisan, we will fire you. You will do things that are partisan, that are against norms, that are against the rules, or you are gone. And so we've had a massive turnover in the government. And these are career civil servants. These are the people that keep all the levers moving in the government. These aren't the corrupt people that you're worried about. These are just regular, everyday people who chose to work for the government, had a safe job, and suddenly they're under attack.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Duncan, just listening to your responses to Senator Moreno, I can tell you that the people who are waiting in long lines at Social Security regional offices don't think things have gotten more efficient. You're aware of the fact that the IRS has warned that this year's tax season was at risk due to staffing shortages. Are you aware of that fact?
Senator, obviously, we're trying to.
I'm just asking you if you're aware of that fact, that they warned that this year's tax season efficiency was at risk because of staffing shortages. Are you not
Senator,
aware of that?
I'm not aware of the exact item you're referring to. I'm happy to take a look at it if it's in front of you. But obviously, everything that we are doing is toward a commitment for efficiency for the American people.
Welcome to America, where somehow the IRS, the people who are supposed to collect the money that you owe to fund the government, have become the evil people. Welcome to America, where we have decided that the income used to pay for our bills instead of going into debt, those people have become evil. How do we get there? How do we get to a place where like it's all of these administrative positions that are evil? Do we have any Republicans that want to explain to me why you have turned against the IRS? How do we expect to pay our bills if we defund the IRS, if we cripple the IRS? And now we're saying that the IRS is not capable. They won't be able to complete their audits. They won't be able to complete the work necessary for tax season. We know that there's just under $1 trillion every year that doesn't get collected. Taxation's not theft. That's just a dumb thing that dumb libertarians say. Not even smart libertarians say that anymore. Taxation's not theft. And if you want to come and have a conversation about that, we can certainly have a conversation about that. But you're going to have to explain how we create a currency. The government creates a currency so that you don't have to barter shit, and then they let you use that currency. Like, if you don't like taxation, fucking barter. Barter then. Trade your goods for other people's goods. You don't have to use currency. You can barter all you want. But if you want currency, then that currency has to be taxed. Tax the IRS. Or just get rid of Ron. Ron, I've seen too many stupid things from you. You're just a distraction today. You have to say things that make sense if you're trolling.
Well, in fact, you've had to rehire people who were fired at the IRS. That doesn't sound like it's more efficient to me. The same is true at FEMA. FEMA reinstated fire disaster response personnel ahead of the hurricane season because they were unprepared. Were you aware of that fact?
Senator, I'm not aware of this specific thing. That would be a FEMA-related item that I've been.
A lot of this, of course, feeds up through the OMB. Same is true of the National Weather Service. GSA cited staffing shortages on mission-critical needs. Were you aware of that?
I'd have to defer to the National Weather Service.
In fact, by early this year, an estimated 25,000 federal employees had been rehired after being initially terminated. Do you know how much that's cost the taxpayer rehiring the same people who were in the job before?
Senator, I don't have an estimate in front of me, but we're always working to optimize staffing.
Is that efficient? Is that efficient to fire and then rehire people? Is it efficient to just like take a hatchet to the government and then have to rehire those people? Probably not. Yeah, that's the waste, fraud, and abuse we're talking about.
Well, I have an estimate from the Partnership for Public Service. They're a nonpartisan entity. They say just that process of having to go through rehiring the same people that were fired cost the taxpayer $12 million. That doesn't sound more efficient.
It's about as efficient as a mechanic throwing away all their tools and then buying them back one at a time. Yeah, just go. It's like going to a pawn shop, right?
Mr. Duncan, your boss at OMB, Director Vogt, has said, quote, when civil servants wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. He went on to say, and I quote, we want to put them in trauma, unquote. Do you see?
That's a real quote. That is a real quote from Russ Vogt. That when people who are career civil servants go to work, we want them to wake up not wanting to go to work. We want to put them through trauma.
Merit-based civil servants as the villains?
Senator, first, Director Vogt has addressed that quote multiple times in this committee.
I'm asking you what you believe. Do you believe civil servants are the villains?
As I mentioned in my testimony, I think the OMB civil servants, who are the ones I work most closely with, as well as Director Vogt, who has a wonderful relationship with those civil servants, are among the best and brightest in the federal government.
Excellent.
That's not an answer to the fucking question. How come everybody that MAGA puts up here refuses to answer a question? Whatever you want to say politically, can we get a fucking answer from these people ever? Do you really think this is a functional way for a government to run? Do you really think this looks good? Do you think this is effective for anybody at all? And for you that are MAGA in the chat, I am a little pissed off today. I'm going to be grumpy, and I apologize in advance. But I want to know what the fuck you're watching. I want to know what the fuck you're celebrating. What the fuck is this? They work for us. They work for you. You're not mad that they won't answer a fucking question fucking goddamn ever? That doesn't bother you? I love this. God, what the fuck is wrong with you? I guess this is why you like Trump. Just like, oh, I just want chaos all the time. I'm so fucking tired of having to cover this. We're less than 2 years in. We're a year and a half in. I'm already fucking tired of covering politics where every MAGA just shows up in front of Congress and goes, we're not going to tell you anything. We got to do this for 4 years? For 4 years, nobody's going to answer a single solitary motherfucking question. For 4 years. Don't watch. Oh, good. All right. Hey, Neil, how about you don't watch? How about you bounce? We don't need bitch assery here. I don't need a bunch of dummies in the chat going, don't watch it then. It's the government. This is what we do. This is my job. Why don't you get a spine? Why don't you answer the question I'm asking? We'll do this, Neil. Answer my question. Do you think this is good? Do you think it's good that people won't answer questions, Neil? Watch Neil not answer the question. Maybe that's the problem. I guess I should know by now in talking to MAGA every single day that they also don't answer questions. It's like your biggest fear is answering a question directly. Neil, okay, it's not good. All right, so maybe you don't just say don't watch then, right? Maybe we do something about this, right, Neil? Maybe we all talk about this and we get back to having a functioning government instead of being divided along party lines. Like, who cares who this person is? Who cares who nominated him? Can we please get back to a place where we answer questions?
So you don't want to put them in trauma, do you?
Senator, that quote you're referring to, direct your vote as addressed, is related to certain bureaucracies in the federal government.
It's just a question for you, not for Mr. Vogt. Do you want to put federal employees in trauma? Yes or no?
Senator, you're directly...
How about no? How about just say no? I don't want to do that. Why can't we answer it that way? Well, Neil, that's a pretty defeatist attitude. There is something I can do. There's something you can do. We can all talk about it. We can all get frustrated about it, and we can all raise our voices about it. Like, I do think that that's kind of where we're at this point. We're so defeatist with Trump. Like, everybody's like, oh, he's going to do what he's going to do. That's because people keep going, he's going to do what he's going to do. Just turn it off.
What your view is, do you think it's a good idea to put federal employees in trauma?
I work very well with the civil servants at OMB. The quote that you're referring to was a reference to weaponized bureaucracies.
Mr. Duncan, I'm asking you right now what your view is. Do you want to put federal employees into trauma? Yes or no?
Senator, like I said, I completely support the...
Neil, that's great that you're civil servant. It doesn't change what I'm saying. Like, you literally said don't watch. Like, I feel like you're missing the criticism here. My criticism of you is you said then don't watch. I think that's a silly criticism. And I think it's defeatist. And if you're a civil servant, then, like, it's weird that you're... Like, we're here defending you. Like, we're watching this and we're saying that civil servants shouldn't be treated this way. It's weird to then say, like, don't watch. Right? That's my criticism of you. I don't know what your politics are, but my criticism of you is like, well, just turn it off.
Civil servants that work at OMB, and that quote that you're referring to has been taken out of context
I was
and has been addressed by the director up here.
So it's interesting you don't want to provide a direct answer. So listen, Senator Murray and others have raised concerns about this new proposal to completely politicize the grant-making process, the update to uniform guidance. I hope people can understand that coming from an administration that wants to create a slush fund to use taxpayer dollars to make payouts to individuals convicted of assaulting Capitol Police on January 6th, the idea of further politicizing the grant process is really, really alarming. And I know this is in process. I want to talk to you about another political effort going on to make sure that you want to replace about 8,000 merit-based civil servants with political appointees. You want to make 8,000 positions at will. And I was just looking through the OMB list.
I just want to talk about, like, functionally how that works. If you're replacing career civil servants with 8,000 political appointees, then when you lose, we have to replace those people. And we're left with no choice but to replace those people. So then every 4 or 8 years, we're just going to have 8,000 people turning over. How efficient is our government going to run then? Like, our government's not super efficient all the time, but we have processes in place by these civil servants that like make a lot of government programs very efficient, and it's because they've been doing it forever, and they have processes in place. They know each other. They work together. This is stupid on every level. This is literally just a bunch of whiny bitches at the Heritage Foundation who are like, it's not fair that we can't force Christian nationalism down your throats. So we're just going to take matters into our own hands, and we're going to bypass the Constitution. For any Republican out there, like, you guys are supposed to be like, you used to be the like pocket Constitution party. When I was a Republican, every Republican event I went to, there would be pocket constitutions laid out at a desk at the front. Literally every single one. There would be like a check-in table, and there would be pocket constitutions there. And like Ted Cruz and Ron Paul used to do this. Rand Paul used to do it. They'd always have a pocket constitution, and the politicians would hand out constitutions. And now we're like, you know what? The Constitution's kind of pesky. Kind of gets in the way. I'm tired of this pesky Constitution.
Here are people who would now be made at will. One of those senior policy analysts positions a physical scientist. Why do you want to make that into a political position?
Senator, I appreciate the question, and I think both the updates to 2 CFR and the schedule policy career are about one thing, and that's accountability. So as it relates to the individuals placed in schedule policy career, it's fundamentally about ensuring that they're delivering on the job.
So if a physical scientist is
all right, Peggy, let's take that. No government program is run correctly. Whatever. Fine. So is the solution to that, Peggy, that we hire new people every 4 or 8 years and just have an endless cycle of a rotating door, just in and out? Is that the solution then, Peggy? David says civil servants know about the waste. They're lying if they don't. These aren't defenses. These are knee-jerk reactions for you guys because you feel like this is a criticism lobbed at your side of the aisle, which it is. But what you're saying isn't going to fix any of this. Okay, what if civil servants do know about the waste? They do. They blow the whistle all the time. And then they keep getting fired. This administration keeps firing them. Every time one of these career civil servants has come out and blown the whistle about waste, fraud, and abuse, they're getting fired. So if you want these people to come out and be whistleblowers, you want them to be honest. Every time they get targeted. None of the things that this administration is doing are fixes to these problems. They're all getting worse. There's a reason like our government is ground to a halt right now. This is chaos. I don't really want the Trump administration to be able to be effective. But they're so ineffective that it's like fucking up stuff that we've been doing fine for decades. It's fucking up processes that we didn't have any problems with. And we started firing people because they didn't like Donald Trump. Or they started firing people because people wouldn't break the rules. Or they fired people because the Trump administration was breaking the rules and they were a whistleblower. Thank you, Burned Out Medic. Said we had 1-800 numbers to report fraud. Targeting by the Democrats. That doesn't make sense, Peggy. You don't know how this works, Peggy. If they work in the executive branch, it doesn't matter what the Democrats do. They can't fire them. The only people being fired are being fired by the Republican administration. You might not be cut out for this today. I might not be cut out to deal with your shit today. Can you guys just figure out what you're looking at first before you do these knee-jerk reactions? Who in the world would fire them, Peggy? You think the Democrats can go fire somebody in the executive branch right now? No. Why not? Because they're not in charge. Oh, okay. Who's in charge of the executive branch? That's Donald Trump. So who's firing people? Either Trump or people that work underneath Trump. But it's the Democrats. I work directly off of 2 CFR 200 uniform guidance. It's well regulated. We are audited all the time. The regulations are already in place to prevent any fraud. Thank you, Benny.
Providing a factual assessment to folks at OMB, and the political folks there don't like their assessment. That person will now be able to be fired. Isn't that right?
Senator, that is not at all what the
Isn't that right, though? You will make them at will, as as opposed to having any merit-based protections. Isn't that what you're going to do?
Senator, the goal of the proposal is to ensure that the individuals implicated are delivering the highest level of services for the American people.
So what they're talking about, I believe, is Schedule F employees. They're basically trying to say everybody that works in the executive branch, even as an administrator, somebody who's a career civil servant, that they can be fired for whatever. Just any time the executive branch can come in and fire people. Again, we're setting up a dysfunctional government, because if we know that this is how this is staffed, then the next time a Democrat wins, they would be insane not to fire all of these people. And then when Republicans win again, they would be insane not to fire all of these people. And then when Democrats win, they would be insane not to fire all these people. We had these protections in place for a reason. They're not at-will employees for a reason. You have to have cause to fire them, and it cannot be because you hate them. You need cause. But Trump's writing executive orders now saying, like, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that rule where now everybody's an at-will employee. This is a really fucking stupid way to attempt to run a government. This is really fucking stupid. Like, we'll never have processes that work. It'll just be broken all the time.
Yep. I see under senior policy analysis, you got a toxicologist, you got a physical scientist. I would just say to our colleagues, you're going down a very dangerous road here by taking these positions that have been merit-based career positions and turning them into political positions subject to politicization in these positions. It is a very bad idea, and I hope you will reconsider. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Moving on. I don't even get this. There's two people who I don't understand how they have influence at all. First, Benny Johnson. There's nobody that doesn't think Benny Johnson isn't just like paid. He's also not super clever. I've never seen Benny Johnson say anything I thought was. Does anybody raise your hand if you like Benny Johnson? Are there Republicans that like Benny Johnson? He clearly works for the administration. He clearly works for the Republicans. He is with Ken Paxton. This is the worst attempt of shit talk, and I don't know if this is like dick measuring that I've ever seen in my life. You just tell me what this is.
We got a major challenge here from Ken Paxton.
Major challenge from Ken Paxton to James Tallarico. It's major.
James Tallarico, who says he loves barbecue even though he's a vegan.
He's not a vegan.
And here it is.
Let's meet at a barbecue restaurant and let's see how much you love barbecue. Let's have a real barbecue lunch.
Dude, look.
He's challenging him to go to lunch. What the fuck is this? I challenge you to a lunch date. Yeah, exactly, Sway. We can stare into each other's eyes. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. And they think this kills.
Dude looks real ham bone. Dude looks real Fred Flintstone, like with his little napkin and his rib. Who eats ribs with?
I don't think it's a rib. I think it's looks like maybe a turkey leg.
A napkin, by the way. Is that normal in the state of Texas?
And we eat with our hands, and we don't eat with a napkin. It's after it's all over.
No, people, when you are at a fair and you're handed a turkey, like you get a napkin. Have any of you ever gotten a turkey leg at a fair without a napkin? What is this trash talk? This is the weirdest trash talk I've ever seen. That's what Ken Paxton has to run on. Just nothing. Just, I don't think that Tallarico likes meat enough. Not me. I'll take all the meat. Fill my mouth with your meat. I'll close my eyes. Get it everywhere. No napkins. Get it all over my face. When I'm done with your meat, I want my face covered in your meat juices. Oh, Benny's like, yeah, real men have meat juice on their face. Isn't that right? It could be a beef rib. Could be. I don't know what it is.
So you're going to go to every county in Texas to a barbecue joint. And you're going to challenge James Talarico. He's a barbecue. That's right. Okay. you think that dude like actually? No, man, he's lying.
There's a lot of.
He ran a vegan campaign. I got the video.
Yeah, there's no doubt. He's a vegan. He said he was vegan. He said he'd run a vegan. Yeah, you're right. And he did it with a mask on. That's not a real thing.
He didn't say he was a vegan. I think it was something like they were gonna have have vegan food, like in their campaign or something, and he wore a mask because COVID was happening. This is your guy, Republicans. Look at Benny Johnson's fake laugh.
That's not a real thing.
That's throwing down the actual gauntlet.
Yeah.
The T-bone. So let's go. James Talarico.
With the
This is
T-bone.
your challenge. The barbecue debates. Let's go.
I don't know if I've ever seen a cringier. And I'm willing to make fun of cringe on both sides of the aisle. That was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. But let's talk though real quick about Ken Paxton. I found this the other day. I didn't play it. This is why Ken Paxton doesn't want to talk about anything other than veganism and masks.
Republican senator in office for 24 years, having raised $400 million for his party in that period, was recently defeated in a primary just a few days ago by a MAGA candidate.
Bro really said, let's play truth or dare. I dare you to kiss me. Stacy said, W for the office reference. Scott Flenderson, 2028. Thank you, Stacy. Shane, thank you for being a member. Roly Poly Bolo. Oh, I got that one. Okay, I got that one. Sorry, I wasn't checking messages very often. Make sure I got all these. Then we'll keep going with this Ken Paxton corruption.
Endorsed by Donald J. Trump. Yes, Ken Paxton, the Texas Attorney General, beat John Cornyn, the sitting Texas senior senator, in the Republican Senate primary in Texas last month in a landslide. And Ken Paxton is, well, perhaps the epitome of MAGA crookedness. I mean, he's too scandal-plagued for even Fox.
Well,
can we clip that audio of you and make a Grinder ad? Absolutely, you can.
What are you going to do?
Republicans are so weak, they cry about eating vegetables. Also, can we get Hexeth workout video again?
About
watch Hexeth run.
Your own record and your own perception. The Wall Street Journal describes you as scandal-plagued.
But the reality is they could say the same thing about Donald Trump.
Yes, exactly.
Look at the camera.
He is Trumpism. He is MAGA personified. Impeachment? Check. Corruption? Check. Adultery? Check. Pedophile protector? Check. Election denial? Check. That's Ken Paxton, perhaps the single most loathsome candidate running for the Senate in November. And I've got the receipts, so let's go through the list. Number 1, impeachment. Paxton, like Trump, was impeached. He was impeached on all 20 articles of impeachment filed against him, which covered everything from the disregard of his official duties to making false statements in official records, constitutional bribery, obstruction of justice, abuse of public.
Peggy, that's not true. We can call names, but we can also lay out all of the crimes that Ken Paxton has committed, which you're ignoring right now and going, well, all you're doing is calling names. No, we're also showing you the corruption, which you won't pay attention to, and you'll just focus on your feelings.
Trust, dereliction of duty, the list goes on. And a clear majority of Republican members in the Texas House of Representatives voted to impeach him. Luckily for Paxton, like Trump, there wasn't a 2/3 majority in the Texas Senate to convict him. But just listen to what a top Republican lawmaker and former ally of Paxton said about him during that impeachment.
We each took an oath of office. Attorney General Paxton took an oath of office. He violated that oath. He put the interests of himself above the laws of the state of Texas.
Number 2, corruption. That's what led to his impeachment. Where to begin with Ken Paxton's corruption? Let me take you back to 2006. As a member of the Texas House, Paxton voted on state spending bills that allocated millions of dollars to contracts with companies like WatchGuard Video, which supplied patrol cameras to police officers, a company which Paxton also just so happened to be personally invested in. He failed to disclose.
We've changed the meaning of corruption. The Trump administration has completely just ended all talk of corruption. Now it's like, what, you can't make money when you're in office? What, you can't be working as a civil servant and also just making side deals? Oh, what, you can't get kickbacks from your friends? Well, we're just not capitalist anymore? Like we can't even talk about it anymore. Every time we talk about it, they're just like, so who cares?
Exposed this to the Texas Ethics Commission, claiming he had no knowledge of the company's state contracts. That's despite selling some of his shares just 3 months after the company announced its net earnings increased by 250%. But that apparently wasn't a wake-up call for Paxton, because in 2011, he allegedly began encouraging Texas legislators to invest in technology company Servergy without mentioning the fact that he was making...
I do want to point out that what we will see throughout this entire video from MAGA will be people attacking Mehdi Hassan. We've already seen it, mostly for being from a different country or for being Muslim. What we won't see from a single one of these MAGA people is a response to the criminality of Ken Paxton. They will discount that and go after the brown guy. And then they'll be like, it's not because I'm racist. And then we'll say, well, what has Mehdi Hassan done? And they'll be like, look it up. And they won't have an answer for that. But what they will continuously do, and this is why people say you guys are racist. And for the record, I'm not saying you are or are not. But I think the reason that people keep saying that you're racist is because when we're watching a video about a criminal and a corrupt politician, you keep bringing up Mehdi Hassan's skin color and his religion instead of talking about the criminal. And the criminal in this case happens to be a white Christian conservative man. And the person reporting accurately, might I add, is a brown Muslim man. And so when we see your anger directed at Mehdi Hassan rather than Ken Paxton here, and you don't have any, like, it's not like you're pointing to something Mehdi Hassan has done that is corrupt, we're kind of left to say, okay, it seems like they don't like Mehdi Hassan. Why don't they like Mehdi Hassan? And then we look at your chats and we're like, they keep bringing up that he's from another country and that he's Muslim. And so it just seems like you're bigots. So if you don't like being called bigots, perhaps... maybe you address the corruption of Ken Paxton. Maybe perhaps you explain to us how Ken Paxton gets blown the fuck out in a primary. And then when he promises to do everything Trump says, even though he's corrupt, he comes back and he wins. Explain that. Like once we got to the runoff, then he comes back and he wins pretty convincingly. Before Donald Trump told you guys what to do, more Texans than not thought Ken Paxton's a criminal. We don't want him. And then Trump told you what to do. And you're like, what do you mean he's a criminal? What about the Muslim guy?
A commission. The company was founded by Paxton donor Bill Mapp, who was later charged by the SEC in 2016 for having misled his investors. Paxton himself was indicted in the case in the summer of 2015 and pleaded not guilty. The case stalled for 9 years, during which he was re-elected twice as Attorney General. He finally reached a deal in 2024, agreeing to pay roughly $300,000 in restitution and complete 100 hours of community service. A slap on the wrist.
Kind of a good point. Remember, conservatives don't think there are bad actions, only bad people. Yeah, and the bad people are based on their identity.
At best. While that case was stalling, a group of conservative attorneys who worked in Paxton's office reported him, their boss, to the FBI in October of 2020, accusing him of bribery and abuse of office. That's what brings us to his impeachment trial in 2023. Paxton staff claimed that he misused his office to help out his pal and donor, Nate Paul, a major real estate developer in Texas. They alleged that Paxton helped investigate and harass Paul's business rivals, delay foreclosure sales of his properties, and procure confidential records about police investigations into him. At least 4 of the attorneys who blew the whistle were fired, and they sued him for violating the Texas Whistleblower Act. Paxton eventually issued an apology and was ordered to pay $6.6 million in a settlement. But the catch? The payout had to come out of state funds, which would require the legislature's approval. Liking this video? Then don't just watch. Hit like, share, and subscribe if you want early access to exclusive.
Come on, Mehdi.
After Paxton's impeachment acquittal, the case eventually made its way to the...
Paxton is slimier than Benny Johnson's face at a grinder barbecue. That's pretty good.
DOJ, but in the final weeks of Joe Biden's presidency, it was quietly, bizarrely dropped. How's that for accountability? Look, Ken Paxton is the most corrupt guy out there. Don't take my word for it. Listen to former MAGA Republican Congressman from Texas, Louis Gohmert.
From all the things I know, I think he's the most corrupt attorney general we've had in my lifetime.
Number 3, adultery. The Republican Party, they like to talk a big game about God and Christianity and family values, and are busy right now attacking Democratic candidate for the Senate, James Tallarico, for once describing God as non-binary. Meanwhile, their candidate, Ken Paxton, has just blown straight through the 7th commandment. Last year, his wife, Angela Paxton, literally posted on Twitter that she had filed for divorce on biblical grounds, alleging the continuation of an affair with a mistress that Paxton, according to the Texas Tribune, had claimed to his wife and to his staff was over in 2018. Remember Paxton's friend, Nate Paul? Well, in return for Paxton's help, Paul allegedly renovated Paxton's home and helped him cover up his affair with a former Senate staffer. He gave her a job at his company, and according to Texas House investigators, Paxton and Paul even created an Uber account under the alias Dave P. They created...
So, Kimberly, can you explain this to me? I appreciate you being here and being in opposition. Can you explain to me what it is about James Tallarico that would make him less worthy of a vote than somebody like Ken Paxton, who's obviously a criminal? This is open to any MAGA. Can you explain I want specific things that you're afraid of from James Tallarico. That'd be dope if one of you guys had an example, because we're trying to figure one out. We went to Ken Paxton. He's like, he said he likes vegans. Okay. What if he was a vegan? Why does that matter? You don't eat meat? Who cares? Why would you care if somebody eats meat? Yeah, I know you said he's a criminal. Wait, who's a criminal? Tallarico's a criminal? God, the words mean nothing anymore. Crazy. What did Tallarico do? What law did James Tallarico break? The left is a satanic cult of death for Satan. You're goddamn right we are. Goddamn right. Hell Satan. He's fucking awesome.
It so Paxton could also meet his mistress undetected. So look.
Because he wants to stop the cattle industry? Peggy, how does he want to stop the cattle industry? What's the proposal he's had to stop the cattle industry?
He's a disgusting human being. Again, don't take my word for it. The communications director for the National Republican Senatorial Committee said last year what Ken Paxton has put his family through is truly repulsive and disgusting. No one should have to endure what Angela Paxton has, and we pray for her as she chooses to stand up for herself and her family during this difficult time. That statement has now been deleted. You see, they're not praying for...
Peggy, I'm going to ban you. Peggy, I have to ban you if you don't answer this question directly. What is James Tallarico doing to get rid of the cattle industry? What proposal has he made to get rid of the cattle industry? Two options here. I've given this option to every MAGA, and what I do know about MAGA is that you guys are the most arrogant, pompous, lying motherfuckers I've ever seen in my life. So you don't have an example, and you know you don't have an example. And what I would simply ask is to show that you're good faith, say, I don't have an example. Or you can not give a specific example and say something generic, and then we'll ban you. So Peggy, I'm giving you this option. What has he proposed to ban the cattle industry? And if you don't have something specific, say, I don't have anything specific. I'm sorry I said that. Those are your only options for your next answer. I don't have anything specific. I'm sorry I said that. Or a specific proposal he has made to get rid of the cattle industry. Otherwise, Peggy, you're out. And we got to get rid of you. We give you lots of options here.
Her anymore. They're campaigning for him. Number 4, he's a pedophile protector. Yes,
well, that's a win for the GOP. They love pedophile protectors. You guys are all pedophile protectors, and thank you, pedophile protectors, for being here. It sucks that you guys are so pro Epstein and so pro abuse, but thanks for being here.
Pedophile protector. Ken Paxton, who has repeatedly pointed the finger at other AGs for being too soft on crime, seemingly has a soft spot for pedophiles. Last year, a Waco man named Adam Dean Hoffman stood trial on charges of continuous sexual abuse of a young child, which is a first-degree felony with a sentence of up to life in prison. The case was mishandled, to be fair, well before Paxton's office became involved, resulting in a hung jury.
Democrats don't want the cattle industry. The Democrats stick together better than the Republicans. I don't have one for him. So Peggy, last chance. I'm sorry that I said that about Tallarico without evidence. That's your next one. I am sorry that I said that about Tallarico without evidence. Curious Red Monster said James Tallarico once ripped that by penalty of law tag. Oh, ripped that by penalty of law tag off a mattress. See, both sides commit crimes. All right, Peggy. Now we're ready for that apology.
The jurors could not reach a verdict, and the boy understandably did not want to testify for a second time. So Paxton, the AG, had to either dismiss the case or offer a plea deal. He went with the latter, but it was just as good as dismissing the case because he dropped the felony charge of continuous sexual abuse of a young child and allowed Hoffman instead to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanors. And the sentence? Just 1 day in prison. One
day in prison. You're not sorry. See, Peggy, this is what I think about you, MAGA. You're all the same. You lie, you smear, and then when you're cornered and you don't have an answer, you say, I'm not sorry. That's privilege. It's a privilege in this country to be this wrong and not have to apologize. It's a privilege that you get as a dumb Republican. And so, Peggy, we appreciate you being here, and to whatever stream you find next, Godspeed, but this is 100% of the time. 100% of the time. MAGA, when they are caught in a lie, they say, I'm not sorry. And now you can have one more message before the mods boot you, and it will be something irrational and kind of crazy, and you'll insult people on your way out because you're all very predictable. When you don't like my answer, you refuse to debate. It wasn't a debate. We weren't having a debate. You were lying. You got caught in a lie, and you refused to say sorry. So, Godspeed, Peggy.
Singular day. That's what Paxton offered.
Peggy's been voted out. The tribe has spoken.
And despite legally admitting to abusing a child, Hoffman didn't have to register as a sex offender either. It was one hell of a sweetheart deal, and the judge presiding over the case couldn't believe it either. According to a court transcript, Judge Roy Sparkman said, 1 day? Seriously?
That's worse? Or that's not worse than being a vegan? Gave a pedophile 1 day, didn't make him register as a sex offender. The judge is like, what the fuck? But we got to vote for this guy. Why? Trump told us to. Trump told us we have to vote for this guy. It's very important. Dems are scary. This guy most likely is going to win in Texas. Wrap your head around that, Republicans. That's the guy you chose. And you weren't even going to choose him until Donald Trump told you you have to choose him. And you're like, okay, we'll choose him. It's okay that he protects pedophiles. We do too. It's what we do now.
Someone has to sell me on the wisdom of it. He, the judge, later pushed for a 60-day sentence, which Hoffman's lawyers agreed to. And despite the public outrage, Paxton's office reiterated that the plea deal was made entirely in the best interest of the child involved. Yeah, sure. Number 5, election denial. Ken Paxton is a hardcore 2020 election denier. He's the guy who filed Texas versus Pennsylvania at the Supreme Court in December 2020, trying to get the results of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, and Wisconsin all thrown out as fraudulent.
Anybody who comes in doing the Christ is King thing, just block the Christ is King people. Mods at any time. Christ is King is always blocked here.
Ludicrous case. The conservative-dominated Supreme Court flatly rejected it 4 days later, pointing out that Texas, or Paxton, had no standing bringing this case against the election rules and results of other states. But ever loyal to Trump, Paxton did not give up. He turned up in Washington, D.C. on January the 6th, 2021, to speak at Donald Trump's Stop the Steal rally.
The wife he cheated on, he brought in?
Because we're here today, the message goes on, we will not quit fighting. We're Texans, we're Americans, and we're not quitting.
So now you know why Trump supports him. It makes sense.
Let me just explain why I say Christ is King is blocked here. Christ is King is a white nationalist dog whistle. If you think Jesus is God, or if you believe in God, you can be here. And you can state that you believe that Jesus is God or that you worship Jesus. All of that is fine by me. Christ is King is 100% a white nationalist dog whistle. And that's why they spam it in the chats when they come in. They do that on purpose. They know what they're doing. So that's why we get anybody who comes in spamming that phrase gets removed. But I want to be clear to to our Christian friends here. That's not an anti-Christian thing. It is an anti-white nationalist thing. So you are welcome to say, you are welcome to talk about what you believe in here. And other people are welcome to make fun of you for that if they want to. And other people can say that they don't agree with what you say. But Christ is King being spammed over and over again in the chat is some little fucking douchebag sitting there with Nick Fuentes erection coming in to do racist dog whistles and white nationalist dog whistles. And that's why we banned that phrase. So just so you know, you are allowed to have any of your beliefs here. We just, we're not a safe space for white nationalists.
But why Texas would support him makes no sense to me. Ken Paxton is the most crooked, repulsive, and disgusting Republican candidate running in this 2026 election cycle. And that's saying a lot when you look at the other awful Republican candidates. But Paxton shouldn't be allowed near a school board, let alone the United States Senate. He's just not fit for office. But he is fit for MAGA. He is the embodiment of MAGA and everything that's wrong with it. Did you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on notifications.
I've seen that, Chris. You said there was a hung jury on. I don't think that's the same case, but let me double check. Why did Paxton? I think that's a different one. But you may be right. There was a hung jury one as well. Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't a hung jury. This is the one. So the first trial was there was a mistrial, and so they had to do a second trial. And what they say is that they negotiated a misdemeanor deal to spare the victim from a second child. The child did not want to testify, which is hard. It allowed Hoffman to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanors with time served, 1 day in jail, and avoided sex offender registration requirements. Prosecutors stated they pursued the plea deal because the child declined to take the stand a second time, which would have meant the state's chances of winning a conviction were uncertain. So do you want to apologize for that one? For spreading misinformation? We'll wait on that. I'm guessing you won't do that either, right? See, and this is another look into MAGA. Like, instead of just figuring out what actually happened here, you made up a story. You made up a story so that you can defend supporting a pedophile protector. And all you had to do was look it up. Now, but now what do we say? Now that you know that wasn't true, now what do we say, Christopher? It's worse because what you accuse Paxton of Larry Krasner is actually doing to convicted people? No. You're staying on this, Christopher. You said earlier, don't mute me, don't ban me. I appreciate it. Then you have to own your own shit here, right? Now it's your turn, Christopher. I'm sorry for spreading misinformation to defend a pedophile protector. Try that, and then let's move on. You were acting in good faith. You said, like, earlier you were saying that that you thought I was fair. Let's be fair now. You made something up. Right? Who is Larry Krasner? I don't remember who that is. Who are you even talking about with Larry Krasner? The District Attorney of Philadelphia? What's he prosecuting right now? Anybody know? I'm looking. I'm not sure MAGA knows what pedophiles are. It's the people they voted for. I see something about license plate theft. District Attorney Larry Krasner announces charges against multiple defendants for a series of license plate thefts and gunpoint robberies. What do we do? What do we do? How did this guy get into the discussion? How'd this happen? Okay, so this is a murder case. One here, DA Krasner announces convictions in a 2021 case. I don't know. I don't know what Krasner is doing. Is anybody? I'm looking in the chat. He's the head prosecutor of Philadelphia. Okay, but what? Yeah. Okay. Did you admit that you were? Did you admit yet, Nick Christopher? I didn't see you say that you were wrong. Can you say that real quick? Can you say that you were wrong about that case in Texas, just so that we can? Because you got to give MAGA a good name. There's all these other weird people that keep coming in and saying shit that's wrong, and then accusing everybody else of lying and won't admit that you're wrong. Can you just admit that you were wrong? He gives people weird slaps on the wrist. Okay, cool. But can you admit that you were wrong about that real fast, Chris, before you keep... I don't know how we got derailed into Larry Krasner. It sounds like a local issue that I don't know a lot about. Maybe he's dog shit. I don't know. I don't know much about him. But seems like you changed the subject when you were wrong about something. All right. This was actually pretty wild. JD Vance went on The View, which is funny, because they're always making fun of The View, and then they go on The View. And he's on The View, and he's all over TV right now because I guess JD Vance, while he's been vice president, decided to write a book about his religion, which is weird. But now he's on The View to promote his book, and it went about exactly how you would expect it to go. Nobody on The View seems to like him very much. He doesn't give any, like he just ignores answer or questions and doesn't answer them a lot. But I want to show you some of these answers. We don't have to watch the whole thing. Oxblack said, Peggy, you are the weakest link. Goodbye. Did I miss any other ones? I don't think so. Might have read that one. All right. So here he is first with Anna Navarro and Whoopi Goldberg on Trump's quote about inflation. Now, I do want to play Trump's quote real quick on inflation so that we know that JD Vance is lying. Here is the
right people
exact quote before we play JD Vance.
come into our country.
Are you going to go to any games?
I will.
I
will.
Are you concerned, Mr. President, about the latest inflation number which came out this morning? Could that be a
No, I love it. The numbers were great. You know what I really love? I love the inflation. You know why? Because as soon as this war is over, I can say it now. Something you didn't know. We've been taking out millions of barrels of oil. Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now. We took out the other night 22 ships, late at night with no lights, because they don't have any radar, because we blasted the crap out of it. We took out, that's why oil's $85 a barrel. I mean, you take a look. Remember when I did this, I said, look, the one bad thing will be we hit the best economy we've ever hit. And I said to my people, I had Scott, I had Howard, I had Pete, I had all of them. I had Todd in the room. I said, the one thing we have to do now, we had just hit the highest stock market in history, highest 401ks in history. Everything was going well. And I said, I hate to do this to you guys, but Iran's going to have a nuclear weapon very soon. We have to go and attack. So we hit them.
All right. So there's the full quote. I don't want to be accused of that being taken out of context. Amy said, Trump waving the white flag on our behalf is wild. He's a weak little beach. I agree with that. Hey, just a reminder, guys, we are crowdfunded. Anything you can do to help us knock out that gift goal would be greatly appreciated. PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo are the preferred ways, as well as Super Chats and TikTokers. If you're watching on TikTok, if you could help us by gifting, that would be greatly appreciated. TikTok doesn't pay us to be here. And when you're on TikTok instead of Twitch or YouTube, that is ad revenue that we miss out on. So if we're going to keep TikTok alive, it would be great if you guys could help us out by knocking out the gift goals as well. So appreciate you guys. Here's JD Vance now asked about that quote from Donald Trump that he said, I love inflation.
So President Trump has called affordability a hoax. He said that, not me. He's pouring money into this ballroom of his and the reflecting pool. Oh, don't forget the Arch de Trump, I call it. And a White House cage match. All these things, why is he doing them when you just, everybody knows that Americans are struggling? What is he spending all this money for?
Well, I got to defend the president on the hoax point. What the president said is the idea that Republicans caused the affordability problem is a hoax.
That's not what he said. He said affordability is a Democrat hoax. Why does he need a translator? Why, Christopher? No, Christopher, I'm going to mute you. You have to apologize. You don't get to do this. You don't get to ignore and skip the apology. I did not forget about that. You have to apologize for lying. But why is it, MAGA, that he needs a translator? How come none of his own quotes can stand on their own? Why is there always JD Vance or somebody else being like, what he actually said? Let's go back. He didn't actually say that. What he actually said is affordability is a Democrat hoax. Yes, a term made up by the Democrats is another exact quote. Why is it that you allow somebody to do this? Or why do you allow your president to say shit and then pretend like he said other things?
And I think that's true. If you go back to the Biden administration, inflation got up to 9% under the Biden administration, okay? Right now it's at 3.5%. By the way, too high. We're doing everything that we can to bring it back down to 2.5%, which is where most people would like to see it. But we inherited...
But you went up. It was at 2.3%, and now it's over 4%. So what if you're doing everything you can to bring it down, then it seems like maybe you don't know what you're doing because it went up.
An affordability problem. We're doing a lot to make it better.
See, this is a good point, Josh. Democrats don't understand logic. No. We understand words. This isn't logic. You don't understand what the word logic means. You guys have to stop using the word logic, by the way. I think you should be barred from using logic altogether, the word. Because what you think logic and common sense are, it's just like stuff that you think in your head. Here's what I think. That's logic. That's not what logic is. It's not what common sense is either. I'm sorry that we know what words mean.
It's going to take a little bit of time. There's a lot more work to do. But the president knows that a lot of Americans are struggling. In fact, he ran on that. He talked about it. And we've done some things and made some good progress on that point.
He just said he loves the inflation.
What he said, Anna, what he said is that he loves the fact that the inflation is going to come down when this war is over.
Oh, that's what he said? Go back to it. What'd you say he said, JD?
Inflation is going to come down. What he said is that he loves the fact that the inflation is going to come down.
Okay.
About the latest inflation number, which came out this morning. Could that be a
No, I love it. The numbers were great. You know what I really love? I love the inflation. You know why? Because as soon as this war is over, you know, I can say it now.
So, not what he said, right?
When this war is over. That's what he said.
That's not what he said. That wasn't a direct. Are you his interpreter?
Literally not what he said. And JD Vance knows that's not what he said.
Or are you his vice president? Come on.
Well, look. What the president said. People were asking about the inflation. They were asking about the affordability problem, which again is very real. And what he said is, "I love the inflation because it's going to come down when the war is over." And
didn't say that. Just didn't say that. I don't know why he needs a translator. You guys should have a president that you don't have to like translate everything. You should just have a president who can speak in complete sentences that are coherent. All right, then we have JD Vance. A lot of people have speculated that JD Vance is the person who is the leak for the Maggie Haberman article with the direct quotes from inside the Situation Room, which is meant to be where the executive branch meets to discuss things like the Osama bin Laden raid and measures of national security. But they used it instead to figure out how to spin the Epstein files and make sure that Trump doesn't get caught up in the Epstein files, which is not really what that room's for. People have assumed that it's JD Vance that's leaking it, and he's confirming here that he is the conspiracy theorist when it comes to Epstein, which it feels like he was right. It feels like he's actually been vindicated on what he said about the Epstein files. It's just that his boss is in them, and so now he's got to figure out a way to pretend that it's okay the Epstein files are not being released.
Okay. Mr. Vice President, according to a new report from the New York Times, you were the leading voice behind the scenes to release the Epstein files, and we applaud you for that. And you warned top officials, including top DOJ officials, at strategy meetings taking place inside the Situation Room. We understand that there are tapes of those meetings, that this was a huge problem for the base. The report says you even floated having Tucker Carlson interview Ghislaine Maxwell to clear the president's name, but you were rebuffed by your people. Why?
Well, I'd say, first of all, don't believe everything that you read in any newspaper, whether it's a right-leaning paper or a left-leaning paper, because as you guys know, well, there are things that are true, things that are false, and things that are totally missing context. Well, here's what I'll say. So, number one, I am, frankly, kind of a conspiracy theory on the Epstein stuff, and that story says that that's one of the things that's true, is that some people called me a conspiracy theory on the Epstein stuff. And I love Susie.
Savage Mom says, "Hell, Satan." Thank you.
But absolutely, she thinks I'm a conspiracy theorist on the Epstein stuff because I think that it's crazy that you had this guy who is clearly a sex predator who was hanging out with a lot of very wealthy and powerful people. Like, that really bothered me. I don't know what's there, of course. Nobody knows exactly what happened unless you were there, but that really bothered me, and I wanted to have full transparency.
All right. Love the inflation numbers because after the war, and then he cut the... I didn't cut the clip. The clip was a minute and a half long. He was talking about the war. He's talking about, I played it, I let it go forever. He was talking about bringing out oil. What he was saying is, let's take Donald Trump's full quote there and say, like, I love the inflation numbers because after this war, the inflation numbers will come back down. Why would that make you love the inflation numbers? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you love the inflation numbers because they'll come down when the war is done? Wouldn't you still not like inflation? I mean, like, you guys, it is crazy. Like, you give him the benefit of the doubt on everything. We didn't need to be in this war. This war, it's a colossal fuck up. All right. Navarro pressed him on Maduro and the claims from Trump and this administration during the campaign that they repeatedly lied about in terms of Venezuela and other countries emptying their prisons into our country.
But you go on in the book to explain that good policy.
So I admit what JD said was the actual statement. No, dummy. Words mean things. No, I played the actual statement, and JD Vance's. This is how fucked MAGA is. I can't fucking believe I'm doing this. We played the fucking words that Trump said, and we played the fucking words that JD said, and they weren't the same goddamn words. And I have to talk to a chat that's like, see, they're the same words. They were different fucking words in different orders. This is crazy that we have to do this with you. What the fuck is wrong with your brains? No, he didn't say that. I said, even if he did say that, which he didn't, it's still stupid, but he didn't say that. In fact, all he said is, I love the inflation numbers. Then he said, when you think about it, and then he started talking about oil. And what he never said is that at the end of the war, the inflation numbers will come back down. He just talked about oil. And JD Vance made the leap that he was saying he loved the inflation numbers because they would come back down. But Trump didn't even say that part. Again, like, Donald Trump could walk out there and just shit his pants. He could stand up on the Oval Office, take down his diaper, and shit all over the Oval. It'd be all over every rug. And JD Vance would go out there and like, well, what was that? And he's like, well, what the president meant when he pulled down his pants and took a shit in the Oval Office is that we have far too many immigrants in this country who aren't following the legal process. And I would play a clip of that, and I would be like, what are we talking about? Trump just took a shit in the Oval Office with his pants down, and JD Vance said that had something to do with illegal immigration. And you would be like, what? So you just support illegal immigration? Are you saying that there's not a problem with illegal immigration? And I would say, no, all he did was shit, and you made up a whole new definition of what that shit on the desk meant. And you would leave. You'd be like, this fucking lib here, he's insane. This fucking lib, he supports illegal immigration. He says words, then you change the words that he said, that you're like, actually what he said is, and then you're like, see, you got caught lying again. You're in a goddamn cult. It's fucking crazy that we have to explain this to you. The words weren't the same. JD Vance didn't say the same words as Trump. He inferred some shit that wasn't there and then said actually what he said. They even said to him, if you listen to him, what he said, nope, that's not what he said. He got 2 quotes wrong. Anyways, back.
But you go on in the book to explain that good policy was maybe one of your justifications, but the quote and when you tweeted that or X'd it was not about policy. It was what Christians were willing to excuse. And that's the part I can't get past. What are you willing to excuse in the name of power?
Well, I would say fundamentally that one of the things I underappreciated about Donald Trump is that so many of the things that people said about him weren't actually true.
Like what? Like what? What did people say about him that wasn't true? You called him America's Hitler. What wasn't true? What's the thing that the people said about him? MAGA, this is your chance to shine in the chat. What did they say about him that wasn't true?
And you talk about humility, okay? So I see Donald Trump, I see a clip of him, or I see not even a clip of him, but reporting about something that he said, and I take it at face value. For example, let's just go back to one of the most controversial things Donald Trump said during the first term that I was wrong during the first campaign, is that I was led to believe by the stories. I read stories that said Donald Trump said that all Mexicans were rapists. He never said that. What he said...
Nobody... I will challenge any of you to find me any media outlet that said Donald Trump claimed all Mexicans are rapists. Now what he's doing is he's making up a new claim to claim that people were lying about Donald Trump. Nobody said that. What Donald Trump said is that they're sending their rapists, their murderers, their drug dealers, and I assume some of them are good people. Something along those lines. We can get the exact quote. I'll pull it up while this is going. But like, nobody said Donald Trump said all Mexicans are racist. None of that ever happened. This is how you have to defend Donald Trump. You have to change reality. You have to make up a claim that never happened and then be like, see, everybody's lying. Everybody said that he said all Mexicans were rapists. Nobody said that.
That said Donald Trump said that all Mexicans were rapists. He never said that. What he said is that the certain South American countries, Central American countries, were releasing criminals into our country, including Mexico. By the way, that's
also not what he said. Right? That's not, he didn't say, let's see, let's find the, here's the exact quote. Let's go back to JD again here.
Is that the certain South American countries, Central American countries, were releasing criminals into our country, including Mexico. By the way, that was objectively true.
It wasn't. That's not the full, let me get this, see if I can. When Mexico, by the way, and now he says it was about other countries. Here's the exact quote. When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people. See how JD Vance has to change all of this to say the media lied about Trump? Is that a problematic quote? Yes. One, Mexico doesn't send their people. They're not sending people. People choose to leave. And he said that they are sending them, so that's a lie. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. That sounds like the majority of the people immigrating to our country from Mexico are being sent here by the Mexican government, and they are criminals. And maybe some are good people.
So it's not so much Christians.
Fidel Castro did that in 1980 with the Mariel boat lift. There have been many, many journalists, including CNN, where you used to work and be my colleague, that have tried to find evidence of that. There is no evidence that Maduro was releasing people from insane asylums or jails like Fidel Castro did do. This was made up, and we just can't, accept it without pushing back.
Anna, we know that there were people who were released from prisons who were encouraged to come into the United States.
It wasn't like it was in the Mariel. know, Mr. Vice President.
Who do we know? How do we know that? Anybody ever seen evidence that Mexico was taking people out of prison and then sending them here? Encouraging them to come here? I've never seen evidence of that.
It wasn't where it was like a purposeful release, open up the jails, open up the insane asylums, and let people flood Florida. I lived through that in Miami.
If you go, it may not have been like Marielle, but if you go back to the caravans that were happening in 22, 23, we know that those things were funded. They were in some ways supported by the government.
The caravan started in 2019. That is an interesting year he chose. The caravans that they were talking about started in 2019. That was Venezuela. And Trump wrote an executive order saying, don't fuck with these people. Like, it's fine. They can stay here.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how you define support or not support, but if people are encouraged to come into our country after having spent time in prison by their own governments, I think that's a problem.
Well, Vice President, can I just add one more thing?
Everybody thinks that's a problem, but that's not what Trump said. Trump said that they were emptying out their prisons and insane asylums and sending those people to the United States. That was a lie. Why can't we ever just be honest about what Trump says? If you guys want to still support him, that whatever. But could we get to a point where we agree on what's true and what's not true? I think that would be cool. Last one on Epstein, because here's just more lies that we have to debunk. And what's sad to me is, like, we expect Trump to lie. I expect, I guess, politicians to lie, but this is just some straight up cuckery. There's no way JD Vance doesn't know that what he's saying here is untrue.
What I disagree with is the idea that the White House wasn't committed to full transparency. We have to remember, like, I was inside the...
Hey, for you saying, can you prove that they didn't? Flower, you say, can you prove they didn't? Do you hold that standard for Donald Trump? Do you require Donald Trump to prove that they did? No, you don't. Don't ask me don't ask a standard out of me that you don't hold for him. There is no way for me to disprove something that didn't happen. Right? There's no evidence that happened. Donald Trump should have to be the one that proves that, right? If he makes the claim that that's what they're doing, why are you asking me to disprove his claim? Why aren't you asking him for evidence that happened? And if you don't need evidence that happened for you to hate immigrants, then perhaps the things that people say about you, not me, I would never say it. Perhaps, though, when people call you a racist bigot, that's why. Perhaps they're right, because you don't demand evidence in order to hate people, in order to demonize people. It's just easy for you. You're like, fuck them. Donald Trump said a thing, and so I'm just going to believe that so I can hate immigrants. You are not Donald Trump. That's correct. I am not a criminal. I'm not a convicted felon. I'm not civilly held liable for sexual assault. It's true. I am not Donald Trump.
Room when some of these decisions were made. The Epstein Files Transparency Act, the one that the president signed, the one that led to all these files that we're seeing, the emails. By the way, again, sorry, do I have to defend my boss? I know you guys don't always appreciate this, but you know, one of the things you see in the Epstein emails is that Jeffrey Epstein hated Donald Trump, and that Donald Trump literally reported Jeffrey Epstein to the police.
Okay,
that's one of the things that came.
That didn't happen. Donald Trump never reported Epstein to the police. He says this thing like the media always leaves this out. Yeah, because it didn't happen. Did you guys know that? Do you know that Trump never reported them to the police, Epstein to the police? There is a rumor that after Epstein was arrested, that Trump called somebody that he knew and said, "Good job. Everybody knew he was a bad guy." That was the realest thing. He said, "I have to defend my boss." Exactly. But he's correcting a story with things that aren't true.
Hated Donald Trump, and that Donald Trump literally reported Jeffrey Epstein to the police.
Okay,
that's one of the things that came out of these files.
That didn't come out of the files. That's not in the files.
For about a decade. And remember, he signed that Transparency Act under duress when some Republican women, congresswomen like Lauren Boebert, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, did not give in to his pressure of not signing.
Trump heard asylum in his dumb child brain, turned it into insane asylum and Hannibal Lecter. That is true. That does seem to be like what happened.
He brought Lauren Boebert into the Situation Room to pressure her into caving on not voting for that bill.
So let me respond to that. So
that's all true.
Let me respond to that. So number one is, yes, Donald Trump, and he said this, he knew Jeffrey Epstein back in the 1980s.
Dolphin made a video on this. Whoopi's face said it all. Send it to Jen. It's literally our faces when we talk to these idiots. I'm a petty bitch.
He also threw Jeffrey Epstein out of his club when he found out he was a creep and reported him to the police. That's something that the media often misses when it reports this story.
Because it didn't happen. Not only is there no evidence Trump threw him out of his club, there's actually evidence that he didn't throw him out of his club. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein doesn't seem to have been a member at Mar-a-Lago, but he was on the rolls as like not a paid member, but he stayed on the rolls until well after this. So there's no evidence that Trump threw him out of his club, no evidence that Trump reported him to the police. None of these things happened. At least none of these things happened according to the Epstein files, which JD Vance is citing. Vance is citing the Epstein files here. He's not citing something we don't know. He's not citing something we haven't seen. He's not citing his opinion. He's saying the things we learned in the Epstein files is that Trump threw him out of his club and reported him to the police. None of those things happened.
They tell the fact that they knew each other in
The View is my resource? No, this is JD Vance, you dumb fucking bitch. JD Vance is on the goddamn View. What are you talking? This is what's wrong with all of you. You see the View in the corner and you're like, that's your source? No, he is. These are his words that he's saying when he went on the View. You're discrediting JD Vance because he's on the View now. You've lost it, folks. You've absolutely fucking lost it. And I'm starting to lose it. I can't believe the shit. I can't believe the dumb shit that you guys type into a fucking chat. You know how, like, honestly, do you know how fucking stupid what you just said is? This is the Vice President of the United States. He is speaking. He's on the View. And because you don't like that we're debunking his lies, you said your source is the View? No. Jesus fucking Christ. It is alarming how dumb some of you are. And it's frustrating because you can't be this dumb. You just can't. Human beings aren't supposed to be this dumb. I don't know what to do with you. That's a crazy thing that you just said. And you typed it. You took the time to type that. A real ass human being was like, oh, I'm going to type this out. I can't believe he's using the View as his source. And here we are.
Which the president himself admits, they ignore the fact that he narked on him to the police and led ultimately to Jeffrey Epstein's downfall.
What? No, that didn't fucking happen fucking ever. Not one goddamn time did Donald Trump testify or narc on Jeffrey Epstein. And the start of this is like, the thing about the media is they lie and they don't tell the whole story. So let me tell the whole story. And then he just keeps saying three things that aren't true.
To that point, Anna, you know the Republican Party. Well, it's one of the things that led to law enforcement investigation. But on the point that you made.
No, it's not. It was after. It was after they arrested him, and Trump didn't say anything other than everybody knew he was a creep, which is an admission that Donald Trump knew he was doing this shit and didn't narc on him. If anything, if that quote is true, which we don't even have verification that that's true, if that is true, it is evidence that Donald Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and did fuck all. Didn't do anything, didn't say anything until he got caught and it was like, guys, guess what? I knew it too. I knew it long before you knew it.
It was allegedly over a real estate deal that they got into a fight over.
But the email says actually
they didn't just know each other. Let's just be truthful and transparent here. They didn't just know each other.
He's in a lot of
they were incredibly close friends.
He reported him to the police. That's what I'm saying. That is objective. That is objectively true.
Watch this. Okay. Did Donald Trump report Epstein to the police? And he just said it is objectively true. So we'll just Google search with you. Look at, and here's why AI is fucked up. Did Donald Trump report Epstein to the police? Yes. What? Oh. Newly unsealed FBI documents reveal that Donald Trump contacted the Palm Beach Police Department in July 2006 regarding Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, wait. What do you mean? Yeah. On October 2019 FBI interview with former Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Ryder, Trump was one of the first to call when Epstein's criminal sex investigation became public. During the call, Trump expressed relief that authorities were acting, stated, "Thank goodness you're stopping him," and remarked that Epstein's actions were well known. Trump also advised investigators to focus on Ghislaine Maxwell, whom he described as evil, and recounted an incident where he threw Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, which doesn't seem to be true. Even like this, and this is the problem with the internet. Like, yes, no, the answer is no. Like, you read yes and then read what it says. here's the Miami Herald article. You can see right here. In July 2006, just as Epstein's criminal sex charge became public, Trump called then Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Ryder to tell him that Epstein's activities with teenage girls were well known in both New York and Palm Beach. Trump called him to say, "We knew about it." The interview, again, allegedly this happened. We don't have any record of this. Trump told Ryder he was around Epstein once when teenagers were present, and Trump got the hell out of there. We know that that's not true. They were around teenagers a bunch of times. Trump also told Ryder that he threw Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club. There's no evidence that that happened. But in 2019, Trump told reporters when he was asked if he had any knowledge that Epstein had had problems with young girls, he said, "No, I had no idea. I had no idea." So then after Trump, so allegedly Trump's like, "Yeah, we all knew," but then in 2019, he's like, "Oh, I actually had no idea." FBI denied that Trump called Ryder. FBI says, "No, this never happened. We're not aware of any corroborating evidence that President contacted law enforcement 20 years ago." So again, JD Vance is saying that the Epstein files confirm that Trump did these things. It doesn't. It's the opposite. Confirms that Trump knew about Epstein and didn't report him. And yet here's the vice president of the United States telling the ladies, and by the way, fuck everybody on The View for not being educated on this. They all should have been educated. How are they going to sit back and pretend that what he's saying actually happened? IMFRCD said, "Isn't this called CYA? What's CYA? What is CYA? I don't understand that reference." Oh, cover your ass. Okay. Yeah, this might be. Yeah, could be.
Covering your ass.
I got it.
Okay, but Anna made another point that I think would be, if I may, because Anna made a very important point. This question about, did Donald Trump release these files only under duress from Republicans?
Yes. Yes. Let's cover the history of this real quick before JD Vance lies. Republicans refused to bring this out of committee. It was stalled in every committee. Eventually, Thomas Massey, and I don't remember the name of the congressman who did the discharge petition with him. It was not Ro Khanna. There was another, like a Democrat congressman. They put out a discharge petition to force a vote on whether or not to force the release of the Epstein files. Donald Trump literally said, it might have been somebody in the administration, or it might have been one of his Twitter accounts. I don't know if it was Donald Trump directly, said, "We will consider this a hostile act. That if you sign on to this discharge petition, we will consider it a hostile act." We know that he brought in Lauren Boebert. We know that he brought in Marjorie Taylor Greene and Nancy Mace and basically told them, like, "Hey, don't sign on to this discharge petition." And then the Republicans quit. They just went home. They're like, "We're going to take vacation early." And then for months, they would not bring, like, we never had a vote on the discharge petition. Eventually, there was too much pressure. And everybody in Congress said, "We're going to vote on this discharge petition." They did. And then what was Trump going to do? Veto it? He had no choice but to sign this. No choice. After he threatened everybody not to sign on to this discharge petition, eventually he had to sign it. And then what did he do? He instructed his own attorney general to cover this shit up. And with Kash Patel and the attorney general, they immediately went about getting his name out of the files and covering things up.
And Anna, you know the Republican Party probably better than I do. The idea that Donald Trump runs around afraid of Republican congressmen as opposed to the other way around is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's not what she said. They were all afraid of him. That's why they wouldn't bring it out of committee. Because they were allowed, like, by it not coming out of committee, they could wash their hands of it. But once it was out of committee and there was a discharge petition and they were forced to vote on it, they had no choice. Nobody wanted to be on record of not releasing the Epstein files. It was the one thing they feared more than Donald Trump. And that's what happened. And then Trump was forced to sign it.
It was Republicans and Democrats.
But because the Republicans control the House and the Senate, particularly the Senate, you need the Republican sign-off. What the president did is, look, I will say this. Again, I was in there in the meetings. He was very frustrated that the Democrats were making this about him when he's like, "Look, I threw the guy out of my club. I am the guy who reported him to the police."
For the record, also, the Democrats weren't making it about him. You saw when you saw Massey and Ro Khanna with the very first press conference. Literally every single victim that they brought there said, I was not involved with Donald Trump. Massey and Ro Khanna specifically multiple times said, none of us are accusing Donald Trump of anything in this press conference today. We just want all the files out there. This is also a revisionist history. Donald Trump was not, they were not making it about Donald Trump. Now, some people were, admittedly, and I think that history has shown that when the Epstein files were released and you went and you saw like who was searched the most, it was Trump. Like Trump was searched the most. People wanted to know if he was in the files, and he sure as shit was. He's accused of a lot of stuff in those files. But the people who got this discharge petition going and the initial press conferences, none of them named Trump. In fact, none of them have named Trump yet. So this is a lie too. This wasn't all about Trump. That's just what they're saying to protect Trump from not wanting to release these files.
One of the people who reported to the police, the president was frustrated about that, absolutely. But he eventually came to say, you know what, let's just get everything out there. Let's have this out in the public. And he actually called the senators. I was there. He called the senators and said, you know what, pass this bill, I'll sign it. And that was it.
After it was just going to happen, like after they had all the votes, then Trump's like, you know what, fine, go ahead and do it. I know there was another part of this. We'll probably cover it tomorrow. I couldn't. The clip came out like right before I went live. JD Vance was forced to defend some of the policies from the Trump administration, deleting Black history. I don't have those clips. I don't want to try and find them right now, so I'll get to those tomorrow. So we'll have more stuff from JD Vance tomorrow, and then we'll probably cover that because I want to have sources for that as well. I don't want to just cover it blindly. We're going to talk about just a second Gavin Newsom and his announcement yesterday that he's being investigated by Trump's DOJ, which is gross. But just wanted to remind you guys, we are crowdfunded. This is the slow time for politics. We understand that. There's not a ton happening. It's the summer. I know you guys are all busy, so we appreciate those of you that are here. Also understand that this inflation is no joke. The economic conditions that we're currently in are no joke, and I understand that a lot of us can't afford to pitch in all the time, but if you can and if you're willing, we would love to have you help us accomplish our gift goals every single day. That allows us to keep this show going, pay our own bills, and as we march towards the midterms and hopefully make some changes here, we would love to keep this show going. Venmo, PayPal, Cash App are the ways to donate, as well as Super Chats and TikTok gifts. I'll read anything that you write, but mostly it just goes to make sure that Jen doesn't beat the shit out of me. So we started a dollar train. There's about an hour and 40 minutes left of the show today. We can knock that out quick, fast, and in a hurry. But here is Gavin Newsom yesterday making the announcement that now it looks like the Trump administration is weaponizing the Department of Justice to go after Gavin Newsom. And when I say weaponizing the Department of Justice, what I will offer here is for anybody who's MAGA who thinks this is a good idea, just name the crime. Name the crime that I'm not saying that you have to prove that the crime happened. What crime is he even being accused of? Because I can't even find what he's accused of.
In recent days, federal agents have knocked
This is for you, but also to tell Keith in the comments to get a life. Keith, apparently you need to get a life.
on the doors of family, friends, and former employees. Not because they found a crime, because they're simply trying to find one. They're demanding records. They're abusing the grand jury process, digging through years and years of random documents. Donald Trump isn't just coming after me because of my mean tweets. He's coming after me because I'm considering running for president, because he hates that I've consistently called him out over and over again for his lies and deceit. Donald Trump is simply the most...
Flower says, no way, no one is dumb enough to defend Newsom evils. Okay, Flower, thank you for speaking up, and we're going to play this game that you're going to fucking hate right now. You're really going to hate this game. Tell me the crime that you think he committed. For the record, I am not a fan of Gavin Newsom. I hope to God that Gavin Newsom is not the nominee for the Democratic Party. I don't like his moderate stances. I don't particularly like Gavin Newsom at all. I would prefer somebody besides Gavin Newsom. This is not a pro Gavin Newsom channel. I'm not a big fan. But if you think he's a criminal, Just tell me specifically the crime that you think he committed, Flower. And if you don't say a specific crime, then we got to let you go. Christopher, why are you still here? Did you apologize yet? Christopher, if you didn't apologize, we got to get rid of you. I can't let you stick around and we get everybody else out of here.
Most corrupt president in American history. He's turned the levers of government into his own personal power.
Oh, he's guilty of Marxitism. Okay, my bad. And stuff.
To reward cronies and to try to jail his opponents. His personal attorney now runs the Department of Justice, which has repeatedly gone after his political enemies. Ask Jerome Powell. Sent them after James Comey, Tish James, Adam Schiff. He sent them after Tim Walz.
And did any of those people have charges that stuck? Has anybody Donald Trump has weaponized the government against even ever made it to trial? Not once. Not once.
And a woman that a jury found Donald Trump had sexually abused. One by one, anyone who has challenged Donald Trump
is guilty of hairline fraud. There's no way that hair can be real. That might be true. Maybe investigate. Trump's mad that his scalp surgeries worked and Trump's didn't. That could be right.
Ended up on his hit list. And today, I proudly joined that list. After calling for my arrest last year, Donald Trump directed his Department of Justice to investigate me.
Trump followers are so uneducated. That's why Trump acts like he loves them. It might be the only reason he does. Like, he just likes people who just blindly believe him.
And just in the last week, I've learned that his campaign has reached my own home. To get me, he's coming after my wife, Jen, a public servant, a woman who's dedicated her life to supporting women and girls. Someone who has done nothing wrong other than having the temerity to advocate for what she believes in. If they can't intimidate me, they'll go after the mother of our children.
Awesome. Betsy, thanks for the Antifa dues. And Walter, thanks for joining the Dollar Train. Tanya, thank you. Said, had a great day. Anne-Marie, thanks for joining the Dollar Train. And Stacy said, thanks for keeping us informed and entertained. Thank you.
Donald Trump picked the wrong target. We have nothing to hide. His political operatives can take every record and read every page, but they'll be looking in the wrong place. Because if they really want to find corruption, look no further than 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Donald Trump is selling the presidency. He's running the largest cash heist in American political history, trading foreign tariff relief for approval of his golf courses. Day trading behind the Resolute desk.
Knowing there is a huge fraud problem and not doing anything about it is a crime. Facts. You're using the word crime and facts wrong, and doing nothing. He literally knows about the fraud in California. They in the 2022 they stopped allowing new applications. They've put like hundreds of people in jail for crime. So literally, Greg, nothing that you said is true. If you're dumb enough to believe Nick Shirley, then I guess that's where we're at. But literally nothing you said was true. None of that is a crime. Like, not knowing he's the governor, so he can't investigate by himself. He can't do anything about it. Even if he knew that there was fraud, he can't investigate it. So if he does nothing, that's not a crime. You can't just say facts at the end of your sentence, and that means it's facts.
Reaping hundreds of millions of dollars in personal profit. And he's doing it openly. He's doing it on camera. He did it last night.
Stoner said Jen can still beat you if she wants. That's true.
The White House lawn. He's doing it through cryptocurrencies.
Keith said Leering Center. Keith, the amount of misspellings you have, like your spelling is that of a fourth grader. You don't get to make fun of other people spelling things incorrectly. You're here every day misspelling things.
He's doing it through the receipt of a $400 million private jet from a foreign government that he plans to keep when he leaves office. Through his son's ventures in countries where his own administration is simultaneously making policy. His personal fortune has skyrocketed by $4 billion since making his return to office.
Alicia said, thanks for educating the uneducated. Appreciate that.
This is the behavior of a regime, not a republic. The White House has become a marketplace for sneakers and coins and watches, cologne, guitars, Bibles, and phones. Influence for sale, access for sale. And today, my family and I can personally confirm that justice is for sale. To Donald Trump, who I know is watching because he watches everything, I have a message for you. You can subpoena my records.
For said Ghislaine Maxwell testimony, she knows everything. Did you apologize yet, Christopher? I need to know if you apologized.
You can investigate me. You can harass me. Put my name on every and any enemy's list you have, but leave my wife and family out of your personal vendetta. I'd like to say something to my wife. These times are not normal. They're not ordinary. I love you, and I'm sorry he's doing this. You have not earned a single one of the indignities that he's trying to inflict on you and our children. And to Donald Trump, this country does not belong to you. It does not belong to your cronies. And we're going to fight your lawlessness. And we're going to continue to remind the people of this country of your corruption. That same corruption our founders warned us against as we move to celebrate our 250th anniversary. I'm going to keep reminding Americans of what they warned would happen if a man with no character ever held the office of presidency. So let me say it again. Mr. President, come after me. I'm not going anywhere, and the country is watching.
All right. So we'll see.
In recent days,
I have no idea what they're investigating him for. It looks like none of you guys do either. Do you at least think about that, MAGA, that you don't know what he's being investigated for, but you're certain that there was some sort of crime? Christopher, you have to apologize. Last morning, your next message has to say, "I'm sorry for lying." Now I know you gave a super chat, but we're going to ban you for 24 hours. Eugene is considering suing Trump again for defamation and undue pain and suffering. He can go fuck himself. You heard it here. Thank you, Librarian Amber. Good to see you. Janelle said, thanks for everything. Stacy said, gift gold. Great topics today. Thank you very much. All right. Moving on here. I'll skip that. I'll get to that tomorrow. What time is it? 11:30. I think we're gonna show this. Patrick Bet David is a rich guy that a dumb rich guy that convinces dumb guys that he's rich because he's smart when he's not. This is incredible. Patrick Bet David had an election special where he was going to prove the problems with our election. It's embarrassingly bad, and I want to show it. This is just me being petty to Patrick Bet David. I'm sorry if you don't like that. Christopher, 24-hour ban. Sorry, I just got to do it. Like, I've given you a million chances to apologize and say that you lied. We will see you tomorrow. 24 hours ban for you.
Election. I mean, honestly, do you know in some countries in the world, if you don't vote, you get fined? You know some countries in the world, the night before and the day of before the polls close, every bar, every restaurant, every liquor store must shut down so nobody drinks to make sure you're voting accordingly. You know in some countries in the world how they vote? Say you voted. I put your name up and I say Humberto Johnson. A Republican and a Democrat is seeing that I said this is one person, then they put the ballot down and they allow everybody to record to make sure there's no cheating at all. I don't know if in America the NBA playing it.
Sorry, let me get through the intro. Sorry. Everything has to have a 1 minute and 30 second
intro. If you get value out of this video, give it a thumbs up.
I don't need that. Yeah, RTP versus PBD win. Whenever he invites me. Patrick Bet David, somebody clip this and send it to him. You dumb bitch. You absolute dumb bitch. We're going to break this down. Somebody clip it and send it to him. You're the dumbest motherfucker on the internet. I swear to God, you're the dumbest person that people listen to. This is the dumbest breakdown of election integrity I've ever seen in my life. The amount of times you trample on your own arguments in this video is staggering. This is by far the dumbest thing I've seen. You're making the wrong argument. You're making our argument for us, by the way. But here we go. D. Freezy said, weekly Antifa dues, I'm bringing my world-famous comrade cookies to the potluck. Thank you. Snoopy Girl said, great show as always. I appreciate that. I can't wait for the comrade cookies. I hope they are laced.
Subscribe to the channel, especially the 51% that watches but doesn't subscribe. You especially, we need your subscribership. Okay. Fixing fixed elections. Right now, couple elections came out. LA, Spencer Pratt was second place. All of a sudden, the person that was third place, Ramin, is crying, conceding. Oh my God, I love LA.
She never conceded.
7 days later, she goes second place. And Spencer Pratt, that was running for mayor of LA, is completely out. We saw this chart. This is what it looked like. He was orange, second place, way ahead of third place Ramen. Here's Bass. And then all of a sudden, a couple days later, she spikes up tremendously. And then by now she's passed them up and everybody's sitting there saying, what just happened in LA? Do they really want real elections? And wait till you see what news.
All right. So let's be fair. A spike like that is cause to look into it. Is cause to say, like, what caused that spike? I do think it's fair for people who like Pratt and who are watching this election to say that spike seems unusual. Because if you go back and you compare it to the trajectory of everybody else, you saw Karen Bass like pretty solid and then kept going up. You see Spencer Pratt solid and then levels off, and you see low vote totals, a spike, and then it continues upward. It is fair to, yes, we're going to get to why this happened, but it is fair to say that the outlier in this graph is this uptick. That's fair. But that is not evidence of voter fraud. That is something that is different than these other graphs, and you need to explain two things. Now, if you're gonna make a claim of voter fraud, you need more than this. You need to explain why this happened. You need to explain what potentially happened to cause this, and that's what Patrick Bet-David thinks he's going to do.
Orange, second place, way ahead of third place Ramen. Here's Bass, and then all of a sudden, a couple days later, she spikes up tremendously, and then by now she's passed them up, and everybody's sitting there saying, what just happened in LA? Do they really want real elections? And
okay, so obviously the official narrative is that these were mail-in ballots. They got cast late. Generally speaking, conservatives do better. Somebody like Spencer Pratt, he's going to do better in-person voting. That's the claim. If you are going to say that there is election fraud here, you've got to give us something else. You've got to give us like how that happened.
Do you see what Newsom passed 5 days before the election that prevents anybody from questioning anything, or else it's a fine? So let's kind of go through this together.
Let's do it.
One of the biggest things that was going on was the SAVE Act. So SAVE Act was to make sure you and I use IDs when we vote. We got a certain voter ID to go through it, which, by the way, as controversial as people say it was, actually everybody on the left, right, or center supported it. Matter of fact, when it passed through Congress, 220 to 208, but when it went to Senate, it was 48 to 50. You know why? Because 4 Republicans voted against it. Susan Collins, Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, Tom Tillis voted against it. Why'd you vote against it? Do you not know the numbers that came back from the Gallup? Here's what Gallup tells us. Requiring people who are registering to vote for the first time to provide proof of citizenship.
That already exists in all 50 states. Patrick. There's the camera. What the fuck, man? You do this for a fucking living. Google it. You have to prove that you are a citizen the first time you register to vote. The very thing that you chose to highlight is a rule in California. You have to prove your citizenship in California the first time you register to vote. He doesn't have researchers? If Patrick and I were here together, I would say, Patrick, pull up your internet. Go to vote.gov. Let's look at how you register to vote in California and look at what's required. You have to prove you're a citizen. This already exists in all 50 states.
66% of Democrats want it. 84% of independents want it. 96% of Republicans said yes. I don't know how many polls I have to show you to see there's no such thing as racism about this. If you can't go get a vote, maybe you're not qualified to vote.
You can't go. There's no such thing as racism about this. First of all, brother, use words correctly. That sentence is nonsense. There's no such thing as racism about this. It wasn't about racism. And then you said if you can't go get a vote, maybe you don't deserve to vote. That sentence also doesn't make sense. But none of what you're saying makes any sense because all 50 states require you to prove citizenship before you can register to vote.
Maybe we need to flat out question, if you don't have the ability to go get it, you shouldn't be voting.
Get what? Because you're talking about proving citizenship to register to vote. We're not talking about voter ID. Voter ID is not how you prove your citizenship. Showing your ID when you vote is not how you prove citizenship. We have social security numbers. We have birth certificates. We have naturalization documents. Pat, this is what I'm saying. Like, Patrick Bet-David is the dumbest rich guy. And there's nobody on his staff that explained this to him. It is crazy to watch somebody be this confidently not wrong, just dumb. He has no idea what he's talking about. And Keith, for the record, Keith, you're the only person here I know of that's dumber than Patrick Bet-David. You're still saying Democrats are afraid of it. They're not. Nobody's afraid of this. It's the law in all 50 states. Nobody's afraid of this law. It already exists. It's like if Republicans were running right now on like outlawing murder. It already is.
No, you see, that's the problem. That's the problem. You are questioning what African Americans and Hispanics and all that. No. I think you're trying to cheat. I don't know if they want free and fair elections.
What's he talking about?
Maybe some states don't. Maybe some states want to take their time. You know what's the slowest state in getting the elections done? State of California. You know what's the fastest state? It's the state of Florida. Why do some of these blue states want to take their time?
This is my favorite part. We just wait while he makes this comparison, and then when he sorry, I shouldn't do that. Spoiler.
No, let's continue. By the way, California election problems. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Universal mail-in balloting.
Okay, so that's a problem according to him. Universal mail-in balloting.
Every single active registered voter automatically mails on the ballot, allows counties of up to 35 days to process ballots, verify signatures, and allow voters to...
Now, why does it take 35 days? And I think this is important. It takes 35 days because California hand counts their ballots. And what they do is they have this big room full of cameras, and you can go in there and you can watch them. And you can watch them count the votes. And you have Republicans and you have Democrats. And they require that each vote be hand counted and verified. So it takes a long time because California is fucking huge. That's why.
Cure defective.
Yeah, just no one. It said, RTB, you are making a joke of yourself. Just remember what I just said and then wait about 2 minutes for Patrick Bet-David to say exactly what I just said, and you're going to think he was smart.
Ballots, except mail-in ballots that arrive days after the election, provided they are postmarked by June 2nd. Yeah, I mean, no one's going to cheat in a situation like that.
Huh? Are you accusing the Postal Service of cheating? Is there a criminal conspiracy with the Postal Service now? You see how flippant he is? Yeah, nobody's going to cheat with that. What are you talking about? Like, is he going to make a claim at any point? Do you see how easy it is to like convince Republicans that they're being cheated? None of this is evidence of anything. These are just facts. This is just what happens in California. He's like, 35 days. And ballots can be accepted after Election Day. That doesn't mean cheating.
Senate Bill 73, Gavin Newsom, just 5 days before the election in LA, he signed a bill into law just 5 days before the primary election. Here's what it is. Removed an active layer of mail-in ballot signature verification out.
Let me look that up. I don't know what that is. Did Newsom sign a law that got rid of signature verification? For the record, weird to blame Gavin. Another fundamental misunderstanding of how government works. That would have been something that was passed through the legislature. So here's Reuters. A new California law limiting the role of election observers in signature verification for mail-in ballots has been misrepresented online as the end of signature checks. Election officials must still verify ballot signatures against voter registration records and notify voters of any discrepancies. Ballots can be rejected unless any issues are corrected. Post Online share a screenshot of Senate Bill 73, which includes amendments to existing election law and was approved by Governor Gavin Newsom on May 27th, days before the primary elections. One widely viewed ex-post said the reform amounted to election fraud. Whose ex-post was this? His permit record. We don't even know. All right. According to the text of the bill, the new provision prohibits observers from challenging an election worker's determination that a signature on a vote by mail. Okay, so this is somebody who goes into the building. This just says that people standing in the building cannot challenge the election worker's determination that a signature on a vote by mail ballot envelope or on a signature correction form matches the voter registration records. And how could they? Because they can't see the signature. So that kind of makes sense. Under Section 3019 of the California Elections Code, if a ballot envelope is missing a signature or if the signature does not match with the voter records, election officials must notify the voter and give them an opportunity to fix the issue by the required deadline. Okay, so obviously not what Patrick Bet-David said. Cool. How many more things is this guy going to get wrong? You guys are still going to believe him. That's what's crazy. We'll fact check this whole thing and you'll be like, he was still right.
Explicitly ban official election observers from...
Yo, remember to sunscreen your third nip. Just saying. Thanks for reminding people that I do have 3 nipples. I appreciate that. It's a deep track illusion.
Contesting or challenging the validity of signatures on vote-by-mail envelopes. Contesting or... He can't even do that anymore. No.
No.
No. Hey, in sports, I can challenge a call.
Not if you're a fan. Not if you're a fan. He doesn't understand what he's reading. Let's make the sports analogy. Who can challenge a call? The coaches, the people involved in the game. Who cannot challenge a call? The fan. In California, who can challenge the signature? The election workers. Who cannot? Somebody standing on the outside watching them. Exactly the same as in sports.
In baseball, I can say, I don't think that's a strike. In football, I can say instant replay. I think his foot was in a line, but not in elections, because elections is not as important as a first down. No, not at all. Not elections. No, we can't do that. No, you have to trust us because we're honest, right?
You dumb fucking bitch. You dumb fucking bitch. The analogy he just gave was perfect for what happened in California. The fans cannot challenge a play. The workers or the coaches can challenge the play. And what did it say in that law? Is that if they challenge the signature, then the person who voted has an opportunity to try and correct that. That was a perfect analogy by Patrick Bet-David. He's just too goddamn dumb to know the analogy he made was perfect.
Give me a flip and break. Observers can watch ballot processing, so you can watch, but guess what you can't do? You cannot challenge signatures. What the hell is the point of watching?
Just like when you are a fan watching a sporting event.
To do what? Do you want I'm IRS, I'm going to audit you, but guess what? I can't ask you for more money. Why don't we do that to same thing to IRS?
No, because the IRS is in the game. Just like you can't tell the IRS to audit somebody because you're not the IRS. You just keep extending this out. I can't believe this guy gets like millions of views. It's crazy.
IRS, you can audit me, but you can ask me to pay you more money from 6 years ago, 5 years ago. Use the same rules for yourself. No. The government knows best. The government knows best. Skid Row ballot harvesting. A California woman named Brenda Lee Brown Armstrong accepted a federal plea deal after being charged with paying individuals to register to vote, specifically targeting homeless individuals on LA Skid Row. And I've been to LA Skid Row many, many times. So now,
okay, I'm fine with that. That shouldn't be allowed. It's exactly what Elon Musk did. And did Patrick Bet-David make a nonsensical video about Elon Musk paying people to vote? No. That's wrong. Shouldn't happen. She's paying the price for that. Let's be fair across the board then. Both of those are wrong.
If we go to different states and countries.
This is my favorite part. Now we're going to compare. And this is when Patrick Bet-David shows just how utterly stupid he is.
On how they do it. Based on the highest electoral integrity, you would notice America, we rank number 25. Number 1 is Denmark, universal automatic
registration. He just said that about California, that California was fraudulent because there was automatic registration. Automatically sending you a vote or a ballot. Why don't we automatically register everybody to vote? Oh, I wonder who's for that and who's against that. Are Democrats in favor of that? Yup. Are Republicans vehemently opposed to that? Absolutely. Is he saying that the safest elections in the world require universal automatic registration? Would that fix this problem of proving your citizenship? You're born, you get citizenship, you're automatically registered to vote. No more registration at all. You get rid of registration entirely. Once you're a citizen, automatically registered to vote. Name one Democrat who would vote against that. Name one Republican who would vote against that. Every fucking Republican would vote against that. Every fucking one. They have tried to do this. The progressive wing of the Democratic Party has tried to do this multiple times. This is crazy.
Registration. Finland requires mandatory public hand counting, public cameras there.
Oh, shit. Exactly like what they're doing in California right fucking now, where you can tune in and you can see the cameras, and there's a public space where they are hand counting every ballot, which is why this takes a long time, which is why Florida doesn't take a long time, because Florida doesn't have this level of transparency. Dude, this is crazy. He is making the argument that California is doing it the right way.
And immediate transparency. Sweden, deep institutional trust, open public scrutiny of the vote tallying process, complete opposite of what Newsom wants.
You can walk in and watch them count the vote. There is total transparency. He is literally citing what California is doing. California learned from these other countries. That California is mimicking these other countries. And he's like, this is why California is a problem. Again, Patrick Bet-David is out of his fucking mind. He has no clue what he reads.
Norway, seamless digital tracking paired with robust multi-party monitoring, scrutiny, mandatory public hand counting.
In California, you have your ballot there's a chain of custody, and you get text message updates. That's the monitoring. Digital tracking period. You can check online. Open public scrutiny of the vote counting process, which California has. Mandatory public hand counting, which California has. All of these things, he's saying California has.
Immediate transparency. These are good words when it comes out to elections.
Those are good words.
Accessible registration. Oversight by an...
Now, this is interesting because now it feels like he's making two arguments, because here he said universal automatic registration, and here he said acceptable registration. I don't think we need accessible. If we're going to do the best one, we should do automatic registration, right? We wouldn't need accessible registration because it would be automatic, right?
Independent judiciary.
Oh yeah, multi-party monitoring, similar to Republican and Democrat volunteers that work together to count the votes. That's a good point. It is Republicans and Democrats counting these votes side by side.
Mandatory in-person voting, 0 mail-in ballots, right?
Yeah, but that's only Taiwan, not Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark. So now it's like no mail-in ballots, but it's mandatory. So they make it a requirement for you to vote in person. You want to do that? Give everybody the day off. Do all these things. If you're gonna do mandatory in-person voting, then do universal automatic registration. Do all of these things.
Straight statutory limits on campaign donations and advertising.
Ending Citizens United. I wonder who's running on that. Is that what AOC, Bernie Sanders, and Graham Plattner are running on? Is that not what the progressives are running on right now? Strict statutory limits on campaign donations and advertising? Who's opposed to that? The Republicans. Who changed that? Which Supreme Court made it possible for corporations to buy campaigns? So was that the Republican Supreme Court?
Go on, and these are the worst ones in the world. You got a lot of these different countries you can go through. Voter intimidation. You got zero Bible.
Okay, so the worst ones do voter intimidation. Things like, I don't know, sending ICE or sending the National Guard to polling places.
Opposition.
Zero viable opposition access. We're not there yet. That's Russia.
You got decades of single-party monopoly. Let me show you some of the good ideas what some countries are doing. You know, in Chile, famous for delivering conclusive national election results within hours of the polls, closing, and all without electronic voting machines. As soon as voting ends, paper ballots are counted publicly. Here's what it looks like. I'm going to look at it and you see how they announce it. Give the name, who it voted for, vote goes that side. One on the other opposing side, one on the other side is watching. It's known as the most honest elections in the world. That's Chile, okay? Why can't we do that? No.
Well, in Chile, voting is mandatory. You have to vote. There's an independent agency that does the voting. There is the independent agency also regulates all campaigns, like their political campaigns, voter registration, and the tabulation of results, and they don't allow big money. Voting is also conducted securely in person using paper ballots, which are counted on site. So you go in there, you vote. Now, what's the population of Chile? 19 to 20 million people. We've got, what, 350 million people. It would take a little longer. But Chile also nationalizes their elections. We have state rights here, and states are allowed to do their elections how they want. So if you want to do it like Chile, it's mandatory that everybody has to vote. And you can do the hand vote, you can do the count right there. But if you don't do all of these things together, it doesn't really work.
No screw.
40 million in California. That's right. So double the population of Chile.
You better trust us. Take the cameras away. No, you bring the cameras. We're okay.
We have cameras in California, not in Florida.
You can record it all. To prevent civil unrest, Chile has a law. It's the dry law. No drinking. Ban the sale of alcohol nationwide starting the night before the election and lasting until the polls close. Okay, great. Let's not drink a day and a half, right?
Prohibition? He wants prohibition now. All right.
Mexico, Peru, Colombia, same exact thing as Chile, dry spell that they have. In Mexico, this applies not just to liquor store, but also bars, restaurants, and nightclubs. In Taiwan, explicitly bans mail-in, absentee or early voting. Citizens must travel back to their registered hometown to vote in person with a national ID. Wow, pretty good idea.
Does Taiwan have secure elections? Let's see. I don't know much about Taiwan. The article here from PBS. The rumors about vote fraud started swirling as the ballots in Taiwan's closely watched presidential elections were tallied on January 13th. These were baseless claims that people had fabricated votes, that officials had miscounted and skewed the results. In a widely shared video, a woman recording votes mistakenly enters one in the column for the wrong candidate. The message was clear. The election could not be trusted. The results were faked. Could have been Taiwan's January 6th moment, but it wasn't. Worries that China would use disinformation to undermine the integrity of Taiwan's vote dogged the election. Key moment in the young... Okay. So how would that be more secure? Just out of curiosity, like if they can screw up in that way... it was same thing. Fact check groups debunked the rumors, and then there was still civil unrest. So there's multiple videos of people miscounting votes. Okay, so I don't think and Taiwan wasn't on that list. I don't think of most secure elections, but there we go.
What do you think? When the polls close, election workers pull every single paper ballot out of the box one by one, hold it up to an audience of citizens, public citizens. Can you imagine that? And then they announce the vote out loud and mark it on a massive public whiteboard. The public is legally protected and film it. Can we film in California?
Yes.
Can we film in some of these states when they're voting?
Yes. Not when you're voting. Yes, in California. We literally, there's videos of watching people count. Yes. Can you do it in Florida? No. Yes, you can film you can film this process in California. We've all seen videos of it. Science said it's funny, give a right-winger a blackboard, and they feel like they're actually smart and can teach others anything. IMFRCD said, since 1924, voting has been compulsory for all Australian citizens over the age of 18, with failure to vote carrying a fine of $20. Neely said, W mods, thank you. Amy said, Texas is a bit smaller than California, but on Texas's own website, they cite the count is preliminary and have frequent discrepancies once verified weeks later. Not cheating, just quickly get numbers out, but are temporary, not official. That's actually really important. Christy said California has 6 times the population of Norway. Just saying. Alicia says thanks for educating the uneducated. I might have read that one earlier too. Got those. Jason said, I want to thank you for giving us Jalen Brunson in a few years back. Go Knicks. Fuck you. That's devastating. Yeah, Mavs didn't want to give Jalen like 40-something million. That was so cool. And then we lost Luka anyways. It was awesome.
Hey, take the cameras out. We went the other day to vote. This was a year and a half ago. We take the cameras out. Why do you want me to take the cameras out? Let me have the cameras in here. No, take the camera.
For the record, what he's talking about is the filming is not filming the vote. It's filming the count. And in California, you can film the count. His reading comprehension is incredibly low.
Cameras out. Take the cameras out. What are you worried about? Well, if you have integrity, free and fair elections, why are you so worried about cameras? What are you afraid of cameras? You shouldn't be afraid of cameras. Legally protected and filming the entire process to prevent any backrooms or machine tampering. Now let's go to
Yeah, that's what they're doing in California. It seems like he's just explaining California.
a couple other ones. You ready for these? Estonia allows roughly half its population to vote online using cryptographic digital ID cards. Some people are concerned by that, but
Who's against that? Republicans or Democrats? Republicans.
what if we do one of these things on the computer? You know how on the phone you go like this to recognize your face? I know people don't like it, but guess what? We're in the era right now. If you have an iPad or a phone, you've already committed to facial recognition anyway. Any of these phones that you allow recognition to get on. So what if we did that? What's more important to you? Honest elections, or maybe using our facial recognition? Maybe that's something we can debate and have a conversation about.
We could, Patrick. You'd be surprised to find out who would say no to that. You'd be surprised where you get people agreeing with you. Those would be progressives that would agree with you there.
To eliminate the risk of
How did PBD even get a platform? He bought it. He's a multimillionaire, and he paid a bunch of famous people to come on and do events with him, and that's how he got famous.
voter coercion, an employer-employee or a spouse abusing their spouse to force them to vote a certain way, they'll allow to citizens to log in and change their ideas on who they voted for. That may be not an idea we're excited about, but that's how they do it over there. Only the final vote counts. Now, when you're going through this in Australia, check this out. Voting is mandatory. Skipping the ballot box without a valid excuse triggers an automatic $20 fine. If we apply
Whoever said that was ahead of PBD.
that in America with the amount of people that
Who would be against that? Republicans, because they want lower voter turnout. They want less people to vote.
can vote but don't would give us roughly a $1.13 billion revenue for those who choose not to vote. Brazil, if a citizen fails to vote or justify their absentee, they face harsh administrative penalties, barred from obtaining a passport, crazy, cannot apply for government jobs, it's okay, prohibited from enrolling in public universities. UK, election day media blackout from 6 a.m. until the polls close at 10 p.m. TV, radio broadcasters are legally prohibited from running any political commentary, campaign messaging, or exit poll analysis. Guess what? You already made a decision on who you want to vote for. For 24 hours, we're not saying anything.
Great. Who do you think would be against that? Moderate Dems, probably. All Republicans. Who would be on board with that? The progressives, who want all money out of elections. Sounded pretty progressive there, PBD.
Go. Everybody be quiet. Allow me to vote so I'm not distracted.
Kelly said Patrick doing it on purpose. Of course, he knows what he's doing. He's pandering to the dummies. I think I've watched a lot of Patrick Bet David. I think he's legitimately just dumb. He's lazy and he's dumb. Somebody else did all this research and they put it on the board. And this appears to be his first run through. He was like, fuck it, we'll do it live. It appears like this is the first time he's really paying attention to this information because it's coming out sounding like AOC.
That they're saying, no, in our country, America, that would never work. Freedom of speech, freedom of press. That's probably no good. This prevents last-minute pundits, speculation from influencing voters. You would not believe a story that just came in and this person did this. Kind of prevents some of that stuff from happening.
That's a good example, PBD. You won't believe the story that just came in and this person did this. You came up with that off the top of your head, bud? God damn, quick. Nimble mind there.
So look, there's plenty of ways to make this thing honest. What if in America we started saying, free camera, free media, come on in and record? Well, what if in every
we do that in California.
Single district, votes can't move to another place. They'll play, the more it moves, the more it allows to cheat. What if in the exact place where they're going through it, we follow the system they got in a couple other places? You got somebody on this side, somebody on the other side. Let YouTubers, commentators.
And it would take more time. It would take more time, Patrick, and I'm fine with it. Just take, no October surprises, PBD. It would take more time. You started this off by saying the fraud is that it takes too much time, and then you're like, what if we did all these things that take more time?
Come in and record. What do we got going on? What do we got going on? You know what would happen to the trust going up? A lot. But do they really want that? I'm not convinced some states want this. The other part.
California seems to want it. It doesn't seem like Florida wants it.
What is so controversial about needing an ID? You tell me. If I ask you right now, you know in the state of California you can vote.
Nothing is controversial about needing or wanting an ID or needing an ID. What's controversial is the added hoops. If the SAVE Act was, if you're going to vote in person, you need an ID, and we will send you an ID for free. And here is a very simple process to get an ID that doesn't require you to pay any money or go anywhere, then nobody would oppose it. But we're talking the rules that Republicans laid out were so stupid that it would require women who are married to have to take multiple extra steps to go prove who they are because their voter registration might not match the name now, their married name. What it did is it disenfranchised voters. And then it's typical American politics. People pointed out like, hey, what you're doing is voter suppression because it will cause people to have to take extra steps. And a certain amount of those people are not going to take those extra steps. They're going to either put those steps off, or they're just not going to care, or maybe they're not going to have the money to go get an ID. And so we shouldn't do this. We should figure out a different way. If we're going to do voter ID, make it easier. And Republicans went, oh, so you're saying everybody's too stupid? And then they changed the argument. No, nobody was saying they were too stupid. They were saying that just like, let's be honest. If you make people jump through more hoops, less people are going to vote. That's just statistically true. So make it easier for people to get an ID. If it was simple to get an ID, by the way, I just renewed my passport. I have here's my passport right here. It's expired. I renewed my passport. I sat at this computer. I typed in the information on my passport. I used my webcam and took a picture of my face, and I got my passport renewed. That's how easy it is. If it were that easy to get me the ID I needed to vote, no problem. If you could just, an app on your phone, a free app, download it, take a picture, give the information you need to verify your identity, and then they'll send you an ID, then you wouldn't get this pushback. But the pushback is all these extra steps that people want to take. And Republicans just know, like, this is how we're going to message it. We're going to try and suppress the vote, and we're going to do it by requiring this voter ID. And then when people say that these laws are too stringent, we're going to claim voter fraud, which Patrick Bet-David, by the way, the whole point here was to talk about voter fraud. And his evidence of voter fraud is it takes a long time in California, and we should do it this other way. And then he proceeded to say, like, all the things that California is doing. But that's the argument against voter fraud.
Vote with a gym membership ID? You literally take a gym membership to vote.
Oh my God, mom's favorite. This is what politically why we're fucked. Your passport would work under the SAVE Act, dweeb. No shit. No shit. Not everybody has a passport. I was saying it was easy for me because I already have a passport. But if you don't have a passport and you don't have an ID that works, you have to drive somewhere and pay money. By the way, it also cost me over $100 to renew it. So not everybody has money to renew a passport or get an ID. You're going out of your way to just try and argue. Nobody said that the passport wouldn't work. Dweeb.
You really believe that's honest? You think that's free and fair elections, or you think it's like, let's allow many different ways for anybody that wants to vote? So where I'm at is in the following place. I can give you 50 different ideas how to do it right. They know how to do it honest. They know how to do it right. We were this close with the voter ID, this close with the SAVE Act. That was one of my top 3, top 5 issues of passing that law. If we passed that law, integrity would go up, trust would go up, but everybody came in and played politics last minute in California.
No, it wouldn't.
I said, we're even going to go further to the other side. Look, here's what I'm convinced. I'm convinced they know how to fix it. I'm convinced.
Real ID doesn't even cover everywhere. Like, not every state has real ID. And real ID doesn't even necessarily work for everybody. God damn, well, why are you out here advocating? See, you're exactly what I was talking about. This is why it works on Republicans. They will justify anything. Does it or does it not make it harder for people to vote? It does. Should it be harder or easier to vote? Republicans say it should be harder. Patrick Bet-David is making the argument that it should be easier. You're arguing with Patrick Bet-David right now.
If we can fix the integrity of baseball, basketball, football, with replays, with challenges for coaches to say, I don't think that was a foul, and they flip it. Wemby hits a 3. It's a 3 they're going to be up 10 or 11 points. And he's like, oh my God, and he gets fouled. It's about to be a 4-point play. Well, the other guy's like, wait a minute, this guy pushed me into him. I was pushed into Wemby.
Oh, was it a fan or was it a player? Oh, was a player or somebody involved? Okay. Can we do that in elections? Yes. Can you challenge the results of an election? Yes. Can everybody counting votes challenge the authenticity of the ballot that is in front of them? Yes. Do they have a Democrat and Republican next to each other and they can challenge those ballots? Yes. Can you challenge the results of an election? Yes. Can you challenge and require an audit? Yes. Are there mechanisms in place, like in basketball and in baseball, that trigger an automatic recount or an automatic ballot? Yes. All these things he's talking about exist. He just doesn't understand that you as a fan can't trigger that. You as an outsider can't trigger that. Everything he's saying exists in voting.
They do the replay. It shows one guy pushed him a little bit. They said, no, the foul is gone. They took away the three-point play. Knicks got the ball to come back. What if Knicks come back and win this thing? And then on the other side, same thing happened. But it's honest. So the fans like, listen, if that's what happened, that's what happened. Let's move forward. They can fix.
Yep. You're the fan, Patrick Bet David. You're the fan. Everything you just said you want to happen happened in California. You're the fan that won't move on. You're the fan who saw the replay. You're the fan who saw them auditing. You're the fan who saw the cameras. You're the fan who saw like the automatic ballots being sent. You're the fan that won't accept the results. And you're saying like, oh, the fans will believe it. No, it's you. That's a tough screen grab there.
This. Trust me, they can fix this if they really wanted to. We fixed much bigger problems than this. It's just the question.
Just curious, how do you register to vote with no identification? You don't. Fun fact, you have to prove your citizenship to register to vote in all 50 states.
Whether they want to do this or not. So, if you got value out of this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, especially to the 51% who consumes the content week in.
All right. Great job there by Patrick Bet David. Really, really great job. I think we did that one, Jen. I think I covered that the other day. All right. Moving on. Here's let's see. Let's stay here. This was a video Keith Edwards put out today. Thought this
so
was
last week,
interesting. While we're talking about corruption in elections and corruption from the GOP and these well-run states, let's talk about Georgia for a second. Hoofy said $2 holla. Thank you very much. I'll update the total here in a minute, but we got about 50 minutes left of the show today. If you want to help us knock out that gift goal, that would be greatly appreciated. Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal are the way to go, as well as Super Chats and TikTok gifts. He's looking sharp in that Yankees hat, by the way.
I saw this clip of John Ossoff, and it sent me and my team down a rabbit hole for literally 20 hours. And each answer that we got resulted in just more and more questions. So we're going to dive into all of it. But
if
first,
they decide to make it so you get 1 or 2 free renewable redistributed ID of your choice every year, make it so it's possible to do so online, I'd be okay with voter ID laws. Also, some dues for my boy RTP. I'm with you there, Godzilla King. Yeah, just give people free ID. If you want people to support your required ID laws, make it easy to get ID and make it free. And then no, you're not going to get the pushback. Just make it so that it's not harder for people to vote.
I just want to show you that clip.
Speaking of corruption, my 2 opponents. The congressman under investigation for paying your tax dollars to his criminal staffer's girlfriend for apparently no work, while the coach's family got tens of millions of your tax dollars courtesy of Governor Kemp and then poured cash into the governor's PAC to prop up the coach's campaign. So we're left with the congressman who's only a congressman because his daddy was a congressman, and the coach who's only a coach because his daddy was a coach.
So Ossoff here is talking about the Republican frontrunners in the Georgia Senate runoff. That's Mike Collins and Derek Dooley. And these people are, well... Not great, Bob! Not great. They've been accused of some seriously corrupt shit. Their staffers' girlfriends getting paid and pay-for-play scandals all over the place. And no one is talking about this. I mean, look, this isn't really surprising, right? Because the leader of the Republican Party loves corruption.
What is that? Is that a mugshot for that felon there? Can you guys put somebody up that's not a criminal? Which of your candidates is not a criminal or a Nepo baby or a Trump stooge? If you're going to run against Ossoff, you should probably bring somebody decent.
And honestly, it might be one of the few things he's actually good at. It's like corruption is up here, and then right below it is, I don't know, passing out at the NBA Finals. Sleeping. Trump is kind of like the Knicks of corruption.
Some people say I'm the best at corruption.
The guy sells his own pump and dump meme coin. He happily takes a $400 million luxury jet from Qatar. I mean, it's basically a bribe.
Everybody's corrupt. Has anybody else done a pump and dump meme coin? No. Has anybody done two? No. Does anybody have a competing currency with the United States dollar? No. Has anybody else taken a fucking jet as a gift? No. Has anybody taken billions of dollars from foreign countries, investing in their business while they're president, and then trading them chips or tariff relief? No. Literally nobody has ever done any of these things that Trump does, and the response from MAGA is, everybody does the bad things.
He pardoned George Santos, who ended up serving less than 3 months out of 87. He pardoned this guy, Michael Grimm, for felony tax evasion. He literally pardoned someone last week for insider trading. He pardons fraudsters like Oprah hands out cars. And yes, I am showing my age. I honestly don't have time in one video to go through all of the corrupt politicians and non-politicians who Trump has pardoned, but trust me, it's a lot. Corruption starts at the top, and Trump has created a permission structure for this kind of thing to run rampant. And it is running rampant.
Art of the deal, baby. Become president, and then the rules don't apply. That's the art of the deal.
And just when you think things can't get any more corrupt, the Georgia GOP says, hold my beer or sweet tea or whatever, but let's just get back to Ossoff.
Have you seen my jetpack? I said if it was as easy as renewing a passport. Passports are $130 to get or renew. And I said that the ID, if you got an ID, it should be as easy. It should be free. I feel like you're going out of your way to miss the entire argument. I wouldn't care about voter ID if it was free and you could do it from your phone or a computer. That's the argument. So address that. Maybe if you can't get a passport, you shouldn't vote. Yeah, so this is where we disagree with you. Fuck you. First of all, I don't think you should have to pay $130 to vote. That's very anti-democratic. It's also something Patrick Bet-David wouldn't agree with you on as well.
Because he was being kind of vague.
We're left with the congressman who's only a congressman because his daddy was a congressman, and the coach who's only a coach because his daddy was a coach.
It's almost like he knows something's up. So me and my team have literally been digging, and oh my God. Buckle up. The Senate runoff race in Georgia is on Tuesday, and their top Republicans battling it out, as I said, are Mike Collins and Derek Dooley. Now, we're going to get to Mike Collins and his chief of staff's girlfriend in a second, but first, let's talk about the controversy surrounding Derek Dooley. If you're wondering who this guy is, well, apparently Georgia voters were too, because we looked into it, and Dooley has no experience whatsoever in politics.
Yeah, we got you. Have you seen my back? And so, yeah, no, we get it. We get it. You like voter suppression. We don't. This is our difference of opinion. We think everybody should be able to vote. You think only people with disposable income should be able to vote. That's where we disagree. I agree with the framers of the Constitution and the interpretation then later on as who was eligible to vote. And I think it should be everybody. And I don't think poll taxes should exist. I don't think it should cost you a dime. I don't think you should have to spend any money to vote. You think that you should. We just have a disagreement here. And that I think your opinion is in the minority.
He was a football coach like his dad, but unlike his dad, he wasn't good at it. He was the coach for the University of Tennessee, but was fired after going 15-21 over 3 seasons. And side note, that first number should be higher than the second. I literally didn't know that. The producers had to tell me. How does a guy who no one has heard of suddenly end up in a Senate runoff race? So Kemp looks at Dooley's mediocre coaching career and thinks, this is my guy. He endorses Dooley, campaigns with Dooley, and here's where it starts getting a little fishy. Kemp's PAC dumps over $3 million into Dooley's campaign. A campaign for a candidate no one ever heard of or asked for. Where exactly did that money come from? Well, allow me to introduce you to Centegix. Centegix is a company that makes wearable panic button systems for teachers in the event of school shootings.
People think you built Centegix to get help there quicker. The number one thing is when you get in your protocols, you save lives.
It's depressing, but it's very profitable.
Julius Tuberville 2.0. Yeah, without the coaching chops. And Tuberville wasn't even a great coach. Yeah, he's like a shittier version of Tuberville.
So, why is this company important? Well, Centegix was founded by a guy named Daniel Dooley. Yes, there's 2 Dooleys in this story. By the way, this is the only photo of Daniel we could find. This is what we're gonna use. I hope you like it. Anyway, Daniel Dooley is the brother of Derek Dooley, and he's literally the best friend.
Derek got the looks.
To Brian Kemp, who again is the governor of Georgia. Kemp started promoting this company just months after it was created, and under Kemp, the state of Georgia has offered grants to schools to help pay for the Centegix systems. Centegix has received over $27 million in contracts with Georgia school systems. That's a lot. That's a lot. So Daniel Dooley is crushing it, and he's doing so well that he
Fuck the Democrat Party and their constituents. We're not interested in your mediocre dick, Patrick. Go somewhere else to solicit your sexual favors. Marlene said these idiots should be required to work at a polling place just once.
has personally donated $100,000 to Brian Kemp's PAC, as in the same PAC that has dumped millions of dollars into propping up a mediocre football coach whose only known skill is being the brother of the governor's best friend. Can we just recap for a second? Because that's a lot. That's a lot. The local news in Atlanta finds out that the governor of Georgia is personally promoting his best friend's company just months after it was founded. So, Centegix, of course, blows up and pulls in.
Can we also point out that an active shooter panic button is an insane invention when cell phones exist? Right? Like, you're going to remember to wear the panic button but not call 911?
Tens of millions of dollars in Georgia school contracts since just
That's not a good solution for schools in Georgia. Like, we want our kids to stop getting shot. What if we gave them Life Alert? Oh, yeah, that'll work. Yeah, that's definitely something that's needed, like we don't have cell phones.
2019. Now, you're probably asking, maybe you're asking, what's the big deal? There's no crime in Richmond.
All right, Patrick, now, fuck the Democrat Party and its constituents. Now, this feels like harassment, because no means no over here. Nobody is interested in your weird, mediocre dick, and you got to stop asking, okay? Ask to fuck us one time, and when we say no, then you got to stop. This is a place where we believe in consent, Patrick. You got to stop.
People having friends, at least we're kind of used to it by now, but the problem is that $100,000 dropped into Kemp's PAC and the millions of dollars that got poured into the campaign of a totally unknown candidate. Slowing it down even more, the problem is that $100,000 is at least significantly Georgia taxpayer dollars. Those dollars went to buy those school security systems that made the governor's friend so rich.
So the teachers have them in Nevada. I mean, maybe. I guess there's some utility there. I guess if you forget your phone, yeah, maybe that's easier than. Yeah, maybe that was a bad take by me. Maybe there's some utility to that product. You might be right about that. Probably a bad take by me.
You live in Georgia. Part of the reason you even know who Derek Dooley is likely because you paid for it. Let's just play that clip one more time.
Got tens of millions of your tax dollars courtesy of Governor Kemp and then poured cash into the governor's PAC to prop up the coach's campaign. So we're left with the congressman who's only a congressman because his daddy was a congressman and the coach who's only a coach because his daddy was a coach.
So that doesn't sound as ambiguous anymore, does it? Depressing, not ambiguous. I kept trying to figure out what this connection really is between the $100,000 from Derek's brother and the PAC money that helped Derek get on the ballot. Then I find out that over 35 Georgia lawmakers are now demanding a formal investigation into the Kemp-Dooley contracts.
Today we're here to talk about questions surrounding possible corruption, pay-to-play politics, and two of the men involved in it.
I'm sure Kemp and Dooley will understand these concerns and be totally transparent about their... No. No. Then we learn about the lake houses. Yes, lake houses. So, Governor Kemp entered office having massive debt and a lot of properties that he'd been trying to sell. Courier Georgia actually did an investigation into Kemp's real estate company, Shelter Rock. One parcel had its asking price slashed from $195,000 down to $89,000 over the span of 10 years. I'm not sure how much you know about real estate, but that's, as we like to say, not great, Bob. Nobody wanted Kemp's crappy lots until Kemp became governor. Then, wouldn't you know it, 3 of Kemp's properties were bought for way above asking price.
And Where have we heard that one before? Where have we heard that before? This is how you buy off politicians in a way that looks legal.
Is the craziest part. Every single one of those buyers ends up with some kind of treat from the state of Georgia. They're awarded contracts, board seats, laws that favor their interests. Kemp then gets all of his debts erased.
It kind of sounds like all the people funding the ballroom, right? They spent like $50 billion and then they got $300 billion in contracts. Seems a lot like that, huh?
Causing his net worth to grow 65% in just his first term. So that's Derek Dooley, and that mother effer is corrupt.
I want to show real quick here. According to the Atlanta Journal, Kemp's net worth grew 65%. That growth mostly came from the elimination of debt. This dude goes into office with $6.3 million of debt, then it gets bought out above market value. Nothing to see here.
And in just his first term. So that's Derek Dooley, and that mother effer is corrupt. But there's a whole other person on the ballot, and his name is Mike Collins. And it turns out that Collins somehow might be even worse, because wouldn't you know it, Collins was caught.
Greg, you're going to have to apologize. Trump's not a felon, not one felony. They were civil convictions. Do your simple homework before you claim shit. Here you go, Greg. We're looking forward to that apology. Watch this. Is Donald Trump a convicted felon? We're going to Google this. Yes. Yes, Donald Trump is a convicted felon. On May 30th, 2024, a New York jury found him guilty of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in the first degree in connection with payments made ahead of the 2016 election. Whoopsies! We'll take that apology now, dipshit. Come on, Greg. Sorry I called you dipshit. That was uncalled for. I apologize. That's crazy that the internet exists and you have access to it. And with your whole chest, I just did a simple, Greg, just make a simple search on Google. Is Trump a convicted felon? You want me to say, Greg, you can't be a felon if it's a civil charge. There are civil convictions and criminal convictions. And if you are a felon, that is a criminal conviction, not a civil conviction. You cannot be a felon for a civil conviction. It's not even a conviction. Yeah, thank you. Civil is liable. You would be liable, like how Trump is liable of sexual abuse, not convicted of sexual abuse. Good Lord. I can't believe people like you exist in the year of our Lord 2026 with Jesus's internet here. That's tough, Greg. Then why isn't he impeached felon? Because impeachment is a process that Congress can use to remove a sitting president. And Donald Trump was convicted as a felon when he wasn't the president. You can't impeach somebody who's not the president because they're not the fucking president. And that's what impeachment is for. Good Lord. This is the American education system at work. Then why isn't he? And by the way, spoiler, that bitch has been impeached twice. He's a twice impeached former president at the time, then a convicted felon and found civilly liable of sexual abuse, and he was held civilly liable for more civil infractions, and now he's president again, and if he loses the midterms, he's going to be impeached for a third fucking time, and he might get removed. Probably not, but he might. Greg, you don't know what words mean, and this is a tough day for you. That was tough. Where'd you go to school, bud? Where's your advanced college degree from? Can you let us know where that came from? That's crazy.
Paying his chief of staff's girlfriend with, you guessed it,
Say the line, Bart!
Georgia taxpayer dollars.
You keep leaving out the appeals court. Trump appealed and the conviction was upheld. He is still a convicted felon. They waived the penalties. The conviction stands. He did not win on appeal. None of you know anything. It's tough.
To do what exactly?
Impeached for what? He was impeached over using congressionally approved funds to try and get dirt on his political opponent from Zelensky, and then he was impeached for the actions on January 6th. You could have Googled that. I'm not your personal Google, but I'm here for you.
No, really nothing. The chief of staff's girlfriend was getting paid.
All right, thanks, Greg. Greg is the only MAGA today that has admitted that he was wrong. And Greg, I appreciate that. I will be nice to you. Said I searched it a while ago and thought it said he wasn't a felon. My bad. Thank you, Greg, for having some integrity. W. Greg in the chat for that one.
Job where she reportedly did no work. No one wants to work anymore. So those are the options for Republicans on Tuesday. And look, Kemp is obviously trying to brand Dooley as a bit more of your typical Republican rather than a far-right MAGA guy. But the only thing that's typical about any...
I think Greg's on a delay too, so like we're still yelling at him. He's like a little behind, so I apologize, Greg. When you get to this point, just know that you're probably a little behind, so it seems like you apologized and we're still yelling at you. My bad. You're going to see all these W's right now, and it might be confusing.
Republican, honestly, is the corruption, which they both got. You can call them whatever you want, but regardless of who Trump has endorsed, both are corrupt because the Republican Party is corrupt from the top down. And aren't you kind of sick of this? I really do feel this way. Everyone is just ripping us off. They're constantly making money off you and me. And I'm just really glad that John Ossoff said this publicly because, I mean,
to be fair, there's a lot of court cases to track. That's fair.
If we didn't look into it and if he didn't say anything, we never would have heard about this. So I guess we'll see which corrupt guy gets elected next week. And I hope you liked the video. And if you did,
all right, there we go. Stacy said y'all deserve a drink. Michelle, thank you for the blue stars. This is Keith Edwards. He's going to tell you to subscribe to his channel. I'll go ahead and do that for you, Keith. But thank you, Keith, for the content today. What do we got? About 30 minutes left. Okay. Let's do... I don't remember how long this is. Let me look how long this is real fast. Let's do this. Let's do this one. This is just wild. I don't know. I think we got to go deeper on this. I think more is going to come out, and I think Tucker's going to do more on this. And I apologize for those of you who can't stomach Tucker, but Tucker gets guests that most people can't get because of his connections to right-wing politicians and right-wing politics. Here he has Ken Silva. Ken Silva, I think, is a former, is it CIA? I can't remember who.
Well, thank you very much for.
This is interesting. We've talked about this a few times recently, and I largely left this untouched for a long time. But it's becoming more and more clear that something was up in Butler. It's very strange how they've covered up what happened in Butler, and this is Ken Silva, who's largely been blackballed from everywhere. I believe he's also friends with Joe Kent. He's an investigative reporter. He was not former, he was not former CIA. He's an investigative reporter. He's written multiple books here. He wrote the Trump assassination plots. He is a libertarian. Let's see. He's written for the AP, the Economist Intelligence Unit, Reason Magazine. And he literally works for the Libertarian Institute. So his book is called The Trump Assassination Plots, What Investigations Missed and Why It Matters. I just downloaded this morning. I plan on reading it over the weekend. But this was really interesting to cover, like the links between the assassination plots, the unanswered questions, and the radio silence from the administration about this.
Doing this. So you've written a book on the Trump assassination plots, the two from the summer of 2024, about which there are more unanswered questions than answered questions, and they're so transparently ridiculous, the stories that we have been told, my first question is...
I like Tucker. He's like a golden retriever that's been dropped on his head 100 times. Tucker's frustrating, man. He's so unlikable, but then he keeps getting like his pushback. He's fearless. I'll give him that. Like he doesn't really give a fuck. And so there's been if very few journalists have had a better year than Tucker in terms of uncovering or at least pursuing stories that nobody else wants to cover. It's interesting now that he got away from Fox and doesn't seem to have overlords necessarily to watch him do some kind of impressive journalism.
Where are all the other books on this topic? Why did this fall to you?
That was my question too. And you're actually probably one.
Yeah, we did hate Tucker for years till he talked about Trump and Israel. That's true. For the record, when Tucker was at Fox News, you can go read his emails. On Fox, everybody at Fox News was admitting that they were lying. We know that Tucker lied to keep his contract in place at Fox News, and Tucker wouldn't be. Let's be honest about that too, Tom. Tucker wouldn't be doing these interviews at Fox News. He wouldn't be allowed to do these interviews at Fox News. So yeah, we've all hated, and there's still a lot of stuff Tucker does that I hate. But I'm not somebody who's going to say like, oh, I didn't like somebody forever, and then they do something that I agree with, and I'm going to just shit on what they did that I agree with because I don't like them. I think that sometimes you have to call balls and strikes, and believe me, it's kind of hard for me to watch Tucker still. I still have to like bury my own feelings about Tucker and listen to what's being said here and see if it has validity. So I would just encourage you to do the same. Because it sounds like, I'm guessing, Tom, that you loved Tucker until he started saying things about, or maybe it wasn't Tom that said that. I don't remember who said that. Whoever said that, I'm guessing you loved him until he started talking about Trump. Right? And now you don't. So it can be said both ways. I feel like I'm trying to be open-minded with Tucker. If he says stuff and he can back it up, if he's bringing in interesting people, I'll listen to it.
One of the only major media figures that's still keeping this story alive. So it's a pleasure to talk to you. But yeah, there were a couple of books published in the wake, like Selena Zito, who's a Washington Examiner reporter, wrote a book called Butler, but it goes more into
Thanks, Lisa, for joining the Dollar Train.
The cultural aspects of like the Butler community and the political effects, the political fallout of the event. It's not really like a forensic investigation. This is the first of that kind.
Does Zito's book have a conclusion? Does it reach a conclusion about what that was, or does she affirm the official story, which is this was a crazed left-wing lone gunman?
Yeah, it's more or less an affirmation of the official story, and again, just like the political fallout. That's more of the book. She was there that day, so there is like a autobiographical account of what happened, from when she got there, but it doesn't go into like the details about what happened over on the HER building or the security failures or who Thomas Crooks was.
So I'm going to state what I think is the official account of what happened in Butler that day. And then I would like you to just take us through what you know about what happened in Butler that day. So the official account is there's this weird kid, local kid, who really hates Trump. And he's been radicalized probably online. We don't really know because he has no meaningful online profile. He's like the only young man in America who's not online. And he's somehow a very good shot, and he somehow gets into the one vulnerable place at the event site in Butler Township that gives him a sight line to Trump, and nobody notices this because there are just these unaccountable holes in security. It's just amazing. It's just a failure of security, and he takes the shot. He misses. He kills someone in the stands, a fireman, and then he's killed by a U.S. government sniper. And he had no accomplices. He's just a crazy person, one of many. And that's all we know. Case closed.
And that's bad enough.
Which is crazy that was case closed, right? We could probably agree on that. Like, it's crazy that they have closed that case. We've just never talked about it again. Even for our MAGA friends that are still here, do you agree with that? That it's crazy that we've never talked about that again?
But is that a fair representation?
How much of this is wrong? Half of what he said? I don't know. And by the way, Tucker was saying like that's the representation of the official story. I don't even think Tucker believes that. He's just saying this is the official narrative.
To this day, the story of what happened in Butler?
The biggest issue I would take with the official story about just what happened that day is that a lot of people think the Secret Service sniper actually saved the day. Everybody knows about the slope roof excuse for why they didn't have somebody posted there in the first place. The fact that building was outside of the ostensible perimeter, even though it was, again, like 150 yards clear line of sight to Trump. But a lot of people say, well, at least the Secret Service sniper stopped it from being a lot worse. In fact, Donald Trump said that a couple weeks ago after this most recent White House Correspondents' Dinner attack. He's talking about, well, they did a lot better at that event than they did at Butler, although my buddy David saved my life at Butler. He's the sniper. His name's David King. And Trump says he responded in 4.2 seconds from 400 yards away. Neither one of those assertions by Trump are true, which is very bizarre that he doesn't know the details about the attempt on his own life. In fact, it was a local cop who saved the day. It was the alleged would-be assassin Crooks fired 3 well-measured, discrete shots, and then there's a short pause, and then he starts rapid firing 5 shots, and then the 9th shot comes immediately after that 8th shot.
I didn't know there were 9 shots. Did you guys know that? I thought there were 3. I didn't know that I thought it was 3. I didn't know there were 5 more shots after that.
All in the span of 5 seconds, from the local cop on the ground. His name's Aaron Zalaponi. He was a Butler ESU member. And then there's 10 whole seconds that pass by before David King finally puts the final bullet through Crooks.
Thomas Crooks fired 9 shots?
He fired 8 shots, and then the 9th shot came from the ground from Zalaponi.
He fired 8 shots.
Yeah. That's one of those Tucker interviews that I think is worth watching. Go watch the whole thing. There's just kind of a teaser there, but there's a bunch of unanswered questions. This is the last one I've been trying to get, and then we'll get out of here. Dre dossier. I feel like everybody else is doing my content for me today, and I will try not to interrupt this too much. Remember, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, Dre dossier was talking about how they found like these mirror websites. There were all these copies and clones of government websites that she found. We know that mirror sites have been used in the past for election interference. Now she found what we're talking about here, passport.gov. That there is a brand new passport.gov or passports.gov website that was made by the Trump administration. And she'll explain why that is something that we need to keep an eye on. But again, go support Dre Dossier if you can. We'll finish with this. I'll try to not interrupt as much as I can. Gift goal's almost wiped out. I appreciate you guys. It looks like there's 69 left in the gift goal, which is awesome. If you want to help us knock that out by the end of the live, that'd be greatly appreciated. Here is Dre Dossier.
Passports.gov, an official authorized U.S. Department of State website.
Let me double check.
Are you guys aware that passports.gov exists and it's registered to the executive office of the president?
That is very interesting.
The idea Doge has made its way through all the agencies. Not just one agency, not just one website. All the websites. All the agencies.
Me too,
all
Nicholas.
of the digital touch points between the U.S. government and the American people.
Let's talk about passports. See, your passport is one of the most important documents that the federal government will ever issue you in your lifetime. It carries your name, your face, your social security number, your place of birth, all of it serving proof that you are in fact an American, and all of it signed and stamped onto a single piece of paper that gets processed by one single office. The State Department. They are the only ones in the federal government who are actually allowed to issue you one, and the data behind it sits inside the State Department walls, protected by some of the strongest privacy laws this country has. And so when I found a website called passports.gov, not attached to the State Department at all, in fact, but instead attached to the executive office of the President of the United States, and built by National Design Studio, needless to say, I got a little bit concerned. Now, if you're just joining us,
Remember, National Design Studio is the people. Their name, for some reason, is at the bottom of all these mirror sites, all these replica sites, and they have .gov, like passports.gov. Somebody should know where passports.gov goes. It should be connected to the State Department. It's not, and instead it has this other group down at the bottom, and they're hosted on private servers.
I do recommend going back and watching the first part of this investigation, as there's a lot of context there that I'm not going to repeat tonight. And if I move kind of fast throughout this video, then fear not, because I would like to invite you to join me on YouTube Live officially Tuesdays from 5 p.m. to 6:30-ish p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where I'll be basically doing a deeper dive on the deep dives that I already do, because apparently we still have not hit bedrock. But it'll be a great chance for us to just slow down, to just talk through some of these investigations, to talk about the things that got, cut off the chopping block, and for you guys to ask questions, and for us to also kind of problem solve together, talk about things that we can do to better protect ourselves in the surveillance apparatus that's being built. So if you didn't watch part one, the long and the short of it is this. In August of last year, Donald Trump signed an executive order called America by Design, and under it, he created a brand new federal office called the National Design Studio. Their chief design officer is Joe Gebbia, and he's the former co-founder of Airbnb, and it is staffed with people who used to work for the critically acclaimed Doge, which, lest we forget, got sued in federal court.
Dre Dossier is her YouTube channel, DREY Dossier.
For letting outside parties unlawfully access federal personal data. So yes, National Design Studio, NDS, is basically Doge 2.0. And the deeper I get into this investigation, the more I firmly believe that the National Design Studio is building a parallel federal government inside the executive branch, running on private infrastructure, operated by the same people who got caught giving outside parties access to that federal data last time around. So I'm a bit concerned all around. And the scope of what National Design Studio seems to be doing is quite overwhelming. I mean, I am up north of 50 different .gov websites that I have found that were all built by NDS, and all of them being registered to the Executive Office of the President. You know, instead of the federal agencies whose names are on them. And look, I'm still—
What do you mean, Diet Pepsi? What do you mean you couldn't verify her last investigation?
Still unpacking a lot of it, but for tonight, I would like to dive into
Did you go through the registrations?
two specific pieces. The first one is passports.gov, and the second is its sidekick, a federal website called login.gov, which is a system that the federal government uses that basically verifies who you say you are. In fact, login.gov got a pretty concerning feature over the last 60 days, and it's that feature that lets outside systems verify Americans without actually letting those Americans even be in the same room. And believe you me, we are going to unpack all of that very soon, but once you understand passports.gov and login.gov together, I think you can start to see what they're being built to do, and just as importantly, you can see when they're going to do them. And that when is—
Remember the last one, some of the third-party analytics tools were not there. Others are standard for government websites.
A little sooner than you may think, because this summer is Freedom 250. And that's the White House's name for America's 250th birthday on July 4th, 2026. Not to be confused with July 5th of 2026, which happens to be my 30th birthday, which, according to the Trump administration's official age conversion chart for women, is probably also 250 years old. Not that I'm complaining that I aged out of that. Anyway, the reason I bring that up is because the 4th of July—
Thanks, Damien, for joining the Dollar Trade.
Shaping up to be a very, very big day, not just for America, but because it's a big day for America's surveillance apparatus, since a whole lot of switches seem to be getting flipped on July 4th. Anywho, so let's start with this federal website that I found, passports.gov, which, by the way, is not a federal website, at least not in the way that we're used to. It's not registered to the State Department. It is registered to the White House, the executive branch. And you'll notice
Ruth, I think the ugly Trump passports are for just people in D.C., I think.
When you type passports.gov in on a computer, it'll redirect you straight to a sign-in gate called auth.passports.gov. And if you do it over your cell phone, then some people just get an error message instead, depending on how many blockers you have. I mean, either way, you never actually reach the passport.gov site. You just get this wall, and there's no front door. Well, I mean, there is if you're on the list. So let's pull it up. When you look at the page, you'll see the single white blank page and this one email field and a button that says send code. And you'll notice that this looks nothing like a regular government website, right? There's no State Department seal, no agency name, no privacy notices at the bottom, no FOIA requests, no this is a government website, here's how you tell signs, like nothing. So I decided to go back to the certificate records to see if maybe there was something I was missing, which, by the way, those are public logs that have a list of every subpage that a website sets up behind the scenes, you know, like the ones that you never get to see from the front end. And what I noticed was that there were 3 separate subpages that were set up.
That's a good point, Rolly. Do we still think we can vote our way out of this? Do we really think they're doing this for funsies? Here's where I'm at there. Like, do I think we can vote our way out of this? Yes. Do I think they think we can vote our way out of it? No. I think that there are people in control currently, but I haven't seen anything yet that can't be undone. But I see what you're saying. Like, I have the same issue with Elon. Like, when we look at Elon's SpaceX launch, just because he was able to get this crazy valuation now doesn't mean that he's going to keep this valuation and that he can keep doing what he's been doing and just like running complete Ponzi schemes disguised as businesses.
and existed just for photos alone, which is extremely odd because a sign-in page doesn't need a photo server, let alone 3, because that's not what logging in looks like. So what do you need the 3 photo servers for? I mean, that is the shape of something that is built to collect face photos in bulk, it seems. I mean, what other kind of passport photos are you taking? And so I looked up when the site was built and by whom, because the records all track when websites go live or are at least public. These logs show that back in April of this year, before passports.gov was ever even public, the site was already running on National Design Studio's own web system, on the studio's own address and the studio's own servers. And then it was on May 5th, 28 days later, that the public version went live. As a matter of fact, there are 2 of them, passports.gov without the S and passports.gov with the S, and both are registered to the White House rather than the State Department.
That's not a bad conspiracy theory. ICE were taking photos to some database also. Maybe that's what this is. Amy said, Doxy Don is not in charge. There is a shadow government in charge. That's pretty obvious at this point, right? Donald Trump is fucking clueless. He has no clue what's going on. They're just telling him he's in charge.
And honestly, it's that ownership that's the whole thing, right? I mean, a federal site owned by a normal agency falls under the Privacy Act, for example. You can FOIA it, an inspector general audits it, and there's this public...
No, this is a different website. When you say, so I can't get my passport now, you can. There's passport.gov, and I think it's through the State Department. This is passports.gov. So it's a different website. And this one you can't, this is what she's trying to figure out is what is this mirror site for? Why would you make a website called passports.gov? Why is there a strange login? Why is there no information? When you go to passports.gov, why is it ask for your email and then it'll send you a code? That looks like a login to a database to me. That's what it's looking like to me. It looks like there's people with access to this thing, and maybe it's a copy site of all the back-end data from passport.gov. Maybe it's a repository of everybody's passports and all their information. I don't know. That's the problem. Why does this exist? Why is why is our government not shutting down a website that has a .gov? Passports.gov. Why would that not be shut down? Why is that allowed to still be active? Let's see if it's still, let's see. Yeah, it's changed a little bit now. It's passports.gov, an official website of the United States government, which is different than what she has now. Yeah. It's just going to ask me for an email address. What is this? I don't think it's a way for you to, I don't think it's a dupe site. I think maybe some of you think this is a dupe site, that they'll do passports.gov and you'll be you're tricked and you give all your information to the wrong website. You can't get into this website. People can. There's something there. Why? But what kind of secret site would be passports.gov?
List of who's allowed to see your data.
Yeah, exactly. It looked like an internal portal login. It looks like what you would expect to see for an internal portal. Exactly. What if it don't get rickrolled? That would be incredible. If you just get a link and you get rickrolled, it'd be the best thing that the Trump administration did if they built this whole thing just to rickroll people.
Meanwhile, a site that's owned by the Executive Office of the President can instead fall under something that's called Presidential Records Law, which can seal these records for years, maybe up until 2040 with no inspector general. And sealing records like that cuts only one way, doesn't it? It locks the records away from the public, the press, and the courts. But the data still gets to live somewhere, and where it lives is on private infrastructure. And so the idea that all of these contractors and private companies would have access potentially to my data, but I wouldn't, is alarming to me, right? And I wanted to make sure that I wasn't the only one who knew about this. Right, Newton? Come here. You do not want your data taken by the White House under the executive office. We want access to our data now, data sovereignty now. But look, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. I mean, maybe this is just some kind of misunderstanding. Maybe the State Department knows about this website. Maybe it's their website. Maybe I'm just overthinking this and blowing this way out of proportion. And so I decided to call the State Department and ask them about their own passport site. And this is what they said. I hope I don't get copyrighted for this music.
She does look younger when she's not in her Inspector Gadget uniform.
Hi, I am calling because I just wanted to ask, I'm trying to renew my passport. Is passports.gov an official authorized U.S. Department of State?
website?
Let me double check. I don't believe so. Let me just bear with me just a moment.
Yeah, of course. Take your time.
I don't believe so. No, ma'am. You do everything through state.gov.
So
Travel.state.gov.
So passports.gov is not an authorized department of the state. Okay. Are you guys aware that passports.gov exists and it's registered to the executive office of the president?
No, I'm not. But I will do some digging because that's very interesting. Thank you for that. I'm literally doing some digging right now.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that you can let know too within the department to help dig around in that would be great because, yeah, we should definitely have like a federal register notice if.
Yeah, I'm with you, Benny. He's just a customer service rep. He's probably not too knowledgeable, but you would think that if this like there would be some level of like, why does this exist if it had a purpose for us, right? So again, why this website? Why passports.gov? Why is it one letter off? And what are they doing with this? Just costing his job.
You are correct. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate your help. What was your name? Okay, awesome. Well, thank you. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye. Well, guess it's news to them. This is really fucking concerning, guys. This is really concerning.
Yeah, so the State Department does not claim this website. And we need to sit with what that means for a second here. Because what do you mean the one office in the entire government that is legally allowed to issue you a passport just told me on the phone that site is not theirs, and they sounded like they didn't even know it existed. Honestly, I think a lot of these agencies have no idea that this is happening to them, which is exactly why this whole week I've been spending time calling every other duplicate site's federal agency to ask them the same question, and everybody's coming up blank as of right now. And that's very concerning on a whole other level, but it also shows you what these guys have been up to. And so I guess the next obvious question is, where do you get a passport? Like, where is it safe to renew or apply for a passport? Well, to answer that, I went to the site that the state does claim, you know, the real passports page at travel.state.gov, the one that millions and millions.
Can you remind us of how she found it's owned by the executive? I think she went to the domain registration, if I remember correctly.
Millions of Americans use to apply.
It also has their name on all the other sites. She had the mirror sites. It says it says at the bottom that it's managed by the executive. I'm forgetting what it's called too. What's the name again?
Apply and renew their passports. And I decided to take a little peek at their back end. You know, I wanted to see what was happening when you go to that website.
I think it was like 57 duplicates on the first one. I don't know if she's found more than that, but I think it was 57.
To renew. And so I
National Design Studio. There we go. Not executive. National Design Studio. Yeah, that's why this audience is the best.
Inspect to just take a peek at what's going on in the background. And of course, the entire back end is covered in trackers. Just like the buggiest thing, it's like having a bunch of cockroaches crawling all over your body kind of trackers. I mean, Facebook has a tracking pixel sitting right on it. The line literally reads FBQ, then init, and then Facebook's pixel ID, which is how you tell that Facebook started logging everybody who lands on that page on a government federal page. Oh, but that's not all, folks, because you also have Reddit's Pixel, Pinterest, StackAdapt, Amazon's ad system.
Dre Dossier on YouTube. DREY Dossier on YouTube is how you find her.
Google's own marketing, and then you have the Trade Desk, which, if you don't know, is one of the biggest ad platforms on earth, and its whole job is to build a profile on you, link your browsing across every device you own, and advertisers then can follow you around the internet. And I'm sorry, but are you kidding me? With this, like, this isn't a clothing store that is trying to sell you some shoes online. It's not a podcast selling mattresses. This is the page where millions of Americans go to get the single most sensitive document that the government
Somebody help me out here, and we'll go through this together. But my understanding is like the confusion here, what she's upset about with like Facebook having a tracking page is like Facebook integrates with all these websites so that they can sell ads. And Facebook is tracking everything that you're doing so that as you surf the internet, Facebook can then like take those, I guess, cookies, whatever, and generate ads based on your viewing history. So Facebook is in our back end. Like Facebook is tracking what you're doing. Like if you're getting a passport so they can sell you like ads to go on vacation. How did that get approved? I would imagine I'd be surprised if it was this administration. I wouldn't be shocked to find out that it happened before. But good Lord. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was happening on government websites.
And somebody wired it to phone home to Facebook. I know that the government is allowed to use analytics. Okay, it makes sense. Of course it is. It needs to know which of its pages are broken and where people are getting stuck. And
yes, Facebook is in your back end. Yes,
it's totally normal.
National Design Studio is a legit federal office, but their involvement here is possibly because they're leading citizen CX efforts. But I still want more info. Yeah, well, I'd be careful with legit federal office. It was a created one. I'd be careful saying anything that this administration has created is legitimate. But yeah, it is a real federal office
for a government page to want to have analytics. But the operative word here is government analytics, okay? Because governments are held to a higher standard than any other company that's going to try to track you across the internet, which is why the government
Thank you, Jessica.
Built its own tool. It built its own tech stack so that it could do what it needs to do cleanly, following the privacy laws. It's called the Digital Analytics Program, and it loads from government domains, and it anonymizes your IP, and the privacy protections are written right into the code itself. I mean, it's the approved way, and it's the only analytics that belong on a page like this. And none of what I showed you on the back end is that. That's not a part of DAP, the Facebook Pixel, the Trade Desk, none of it. None of them are part of this government tool. But you know what? I'll give them one more shot, because I do believe there is one workaround, right? And the rule is simple, that any advertising tracker on a government website has to be first approved in writing by the agency's privacy official and listed by name in the public privacy policy. So you know what? Before I get all up in arms about this, I'm sure it's just written in the privacy policy. And I'm sure.
Can any of the nerds, and I use that in a nice way, can anybody explain to me why we would allow that? Is there any utility in that other than for them to monetize it?
That once I open it, I'll see that this is just a big misunderstanding, right? And that this is actually written in front of our eyes. Well, that's weird. That there's a 404 page instead of a privacy policy sitting on the other side of this link here. What do you mean the page isn't found? Go find the page. But hey, I guess if the privacy policy is just a dead link, then nobody can actually read the rules and nobody can hold you to them. So problem solved. Love to see it. Love to see it. So I went back to the homepage of the State Department, and to be fair, that privacy policy works when you click on that at the bottom of the
sold as an ease of sign up. Okay.
Page. It's just that one page that doesn't work. Anyway, I read the state homepage privacy policy, and guess what? It doesn't name a single one of these trackers. Not Facebook, not Pinterest, not Reddit, not Amazon, none of them. Which, as I've stated, if it's going to be in the back end of the code, it must exist in the privacy policy. Now, before anybody panic,
if you care about being not being tracked, you can create your own system to null route known ad trackers. No, I cannot. I bet you can. I cannot. I might have to learn that.
About having just renewed their passport online and worried that Facebook has your passport information. I don't believe that to be true, because I did go through the pages in which you put in personal information, and I kept the code from the back end of the site up so I could see what was happening, and it didn't look like those trackers followed me through to the more protected pages, at least from what I saw. However, I don't think that this is the moment of exhale, really. This is super invasive. I mean, this is a government website. Even if you don't go and fill out a passport, the fact that you are so heavily tracked on one of the most sensitive websites, giving you the most sensitive information that America has, is just
research pie hole. Got it. Thank you.
Grotesque. It's deplorable. Okay, in case someone needs to hear this, you shouldn't have to be tracked by Facebook just to come to the government for a passport. That is not okay. It's not okay at all. And there definitely shouldn't be an additional website called passports.gov that's registered to the White House with its own sign-in built from scratch. I mean, login.gov exists for that reason, and it's safe, right? Login.gov is safe, right? Yeah, let's talk about login.gov, because it actually makes me...
I'm only going to be able to make it for about the next 5 minutes, then you guys will have to finish this on your own. My daughter's coming. Where gift goal's almost knocked out. If you guys want to help us knock that out, I know it's a slow time. Times are tough for a lot of us. We do need to hit that gift goal every day to keep the lights on here and keep things functioning. And I know we were a little short yesterday, so if you can help us knock that out, it would be greatly appreciated. I'm going to get this to 20 minutes, and the last 8 minutes you'll have to watch on your own. We'll drop the link in the Discord, or you can go to Dre Dossier on YouTube.
Sick to my stomach. The head of it is Doge alumni Greg Hogan, who's been running it since April of this year. Yeah, the same month that passport.gov, the one registered to the White House, was being built inside the studio's servers, which was April according to the certification dates, Hogan showed up from National Design Studio to login.gov to run the whole thing. So the idea behind login.gov is that it's the government's single sign-in page. It's the one account that gets you into the IRS, Social Security, the VA, instead of a separate login for every agency. And about 150 million Americans use it. But it's more than just a sign-in, right? It's not like it's just one username and password for everything. Oh no, it's much bigger than that because it matters more than almost anything else the government runs. And it's because it's how the government proves that you're really you. You see, the first time you set it up, you go through one careful check. You have to photograph your ID, right? Like your passport, for example. And then on top of that, you have to take a video of your face, or like one of those biometric photographs where you have to turn your head to the left, right, up, down, and it gets an entire scan of your face, and it will confirm that the two match, and it'll create an account for just you. Well, theoretically. After that, logging in is easy, but it's the signing up for the account that's the tricky part, right? That's the part that's supposed to verify that it was you who signed up for the
Thank you, Stacey. Said more to knock out the gift goal. Good luck. Thank you, Stacey.
account, and it is you who has access to the account. Well, so we thought, because I went to the login.gov GitHub because it's open source, right? Which means that the government publishes all of its code so that anybody can read it. And so I went through and diffed all the commits, which commits are just the change in code on GitHub. And I stumbled across something that was developed within the last few months. In fact, it looked like it was developed back in early May. They had built something new, something that was called a proofing agent.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Think about what a proofing agent does. I mean, proofing is just the government's word for proving that you are who you say you are. And in tech terms, an agent is something that does a task for you. It automates it, right? So a proofing agent would be something that does the proving of you on your behalf. Which, when you put it like that, sounds like a pretty big red flag, if I do say so myself. And so here's what it actually does, according to the code. It allows an approved outside organization to send login.gov your information to prove your biometrics.
So that would mean, nerds, that would mean that they have it. And we have to assume that the government is doing something, some sort of oversight that says that they don't get to store this data. I don't know how they would do that. That's what we're saying, that just like all of this information is housed off government servers in some private server that we're just supposed to believe we have oversight and control over.
So your name, your social security number, your date of birth, your address, even your passport, this third-party approved company can use and send that information to login.gov, and it will run the full identity check on that data. And if it matches the data that the government has on you, then you come out of the other side verified. So if what's behind login.gov is this unified database and login.gov is supposed to be there to protect it, what's the point if Greg Hogan is, wait a second, I think I get it. Oh man, he really grinds my gears. Okay, so his path is all part of the public record, by the way. And it's a pretty strange path that he took to get here because he's a Silicon Valley guy, right? I mean, he's never worked in government before this. And on day 2 of Trump's second term, Hogan was installed as the Chief Information Officer at OPM, which is the office that holds every federal employee's personnel record. And luckily, they
Thank you, Alberto.
Didn't have too long of a stretch in there because on February 24th of 2025, a federal judge issued an emergency order blocking all Doge-affiliated personnel from the OPM data, except for the fact that it named a few exceptions of that title, one of which was Greg Hogan.
Thank you, Caitlin, for the Antifa dues.
And then a different judge had found that OPM had disclosed records to Doge-affiliated individuals in violation of the Privacy Act. And so Hogan was running the OPM's information system the entire time the federal judge was ruling that OPM was breaking the law. And then that's when they created the National Design Studio, which he moved over to help run that, to which he got another promotion in late April and landed at login.gov.
So they're just violating court orders and subverting the court to break the Constitution. Okay, cool.
You guys, that is 3 data choke points within 16 months, all with no Senate confirmations for any of it, and most of what they were doing was illegal, if not all of it. And yet, he kept slipping through the cracks. He was getting promoted until he landed on top of the system that verifies the identity of 150 million Americans and counting. And I know any reasonable person is thinking, well, what is the plan here? Like, what would anybody actually want with this way to verify you or create this verified identity of your name without you being in the room? Okay, well, I'll give you my read of why I think a proofing agent showed up exactly when it did, why a shadow passports.gov went live, and why all of this is landing in the same moment. And look, I'll be straight with you. This is the darkest version of all the possibilities, but it's also the version that I think fits what this administration has shown us time and time again that it actually cares about. Think about both sides of this, right? I mean, whoever controls the machine that decides who counts as a verified legitimate person to the government also controls the opposite. You know, the question of who doesn't count. Because think about it. I mean, the same system that can wave you across a border can just as easily lock you out. You know, and the people who are running it can flag you, challenge your status, or quietly freeze access to your own benefits and your own records without ever explaining why. And the truth about a tool like that is that it can be pointed at any direction its owner, or rather its agent, chooses. At immigrants, at political opponents, or at anyone who becomes inconvenient. And that's what makes all of this so dangerous. You know, it's not just your data, it's a loaded gun. And right now, the only thing standing between you and the wrong end of that gun is the trust in the people who are holding it. And speaking of people you don't trust holding explosives, I think it's time we circle back to the July 4th date, okay? Freedom 250, America's 250th birthday, because...
All right, we're going to cut it there. I'll pick up tomorrow on that same spot, or you can watch it on your own. I'm reading some of these. OPM is already horrible with data integrity. I've had my info breached several times. This is... Like the Patriot Act was kind of the thing that we were all nervous about. We watched Snowden for a members only event, and that was about like they can turn on your camera. They can
a lot.
I don't mean to do that to you, Dre Dossier. That was a terrible screenshot there. But we've been worried about this type of stuff forever, and now the alarming part for me is not that I'm surprised the government is doing this. The alarming part for me is that they seem to be either privatizing it or allowing back doors and doing nothing about it. Doge already leaked our info everywhere. We already know that Russia had not even a back door, a front door into our Social Security data. We know we know that ICE is claiming they're building out these databases. We've seen what a vindictive administration is capable of doing. And whether you think Trump is vindictive or you think this administration is fascist or not, like this stuff being integrated into our government is going to not only give our government unprecedented access and control over every aspect of your life, but it's also going to invite and encourage bad actors to get into the government. This is pretty scary stuff for a bunch of people who said, like, we don't want to be China. We don't want to live in a police state. This is, scares the shit out of me, if we're being honest. Let me check comments, and then we'll get out of here. I think I got most of them. Jen, did I miss any on your end?
Nope. Looks like all of them.
Suzanne said, ugh. Yeah, ugh. I think that's correct. Ugh is probably the correct response to what happened here today. All right, we'll be back tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here on YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok. If you want to join us for members-only events, or if you just want to support our work with a monthly donation, we have memberships available on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch, starting at about $5. Those memberships get you invited to our members-only movie nights every other Wednesday. They also give you access to emojis, and on Twitch, it means you don't have to watch commercials, which it turns out is most of you. Other than that, I think we covered everything. There's merch in the bio. I'm on Cameo. Replays are available on Spotify, YouTube, and Twitch. Feel free to clip any of this content and share it. Hopefully, somebody clips that call out to Patrick Bet David. He'll for sure be calling me. We know that'll happen. But until I see you tomorrow morning, take care of yourselves. Go outside and touch grass. If you can't touch grass, smoke grass. Be nice to your friends, your families, your neighbors, but most importantly, be nice to yourself. Look in the mirror. Tell yourself something nice about yourself. Reach down, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and then take those boots and put them on the ground. And until I see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, take care of yourselves. stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.